I request all the dignitaries to take their respective places on dais. A very good morning to everyone present here. I take this privilege to warmly welcome all our guests and delegates to the Data Science Roundtable Conference titled Data Science Frontiers, Exploring Advances, Challenges and Practical Applications, organized by School of Sciences, JAIN deemed to be university. A warm welcome to all the delegates. Dear dignitaries, scholars, professors, students, ladies and gentlemen, School of Science is dedicated to intellectual curiosity, analytical dexterity, and creative thinking of its students and fosters entrepreneurship skills through a broad selection of seminars and research projects. School of Science has evolved a distinctive academic profile through innovative updating of the syllabus, material designs, audiovisual participatory teaching methods, and its ambience to openness to new ideas. It now offers updated courses and it has made a significant departure from conventional science courses to interdisciplinary courses of contemporary relevance. This roundtable is also an opportunity and a platform for us to update and widen our knowledge. I request Ms. Bhavya and Mr. Abhijit to begin this auspicious occasion with an invocation. Thank you, Ms. Bhavya and Mr. Abhijit. We must welcome the future, remembering that soon it will be the past. And we must respect the past, remembering that it was once all that was humanly possible. I request our driving force, Dr. Asha Raji, Director of School of Sciences, to welcome the gathering.
A very good morning, respected, distinguished panelist, Chief Academic Officer of JAIN University, Dr. Shraddha Kanwar, Chief Manager, Placements and Corporate Relations, Ms. Priti Bhandari, her team, the head of the department, Dr. R. Sudarshan, program head, faculty members, and my dear students. It gives me immense pleasure to welcome you all for this roundtable conference on frontiers of data science. Today the event brings in the greatest minds of academia, industry, and the student bodies to discuss on the developments as well as the future of data science. JAIN University has been ranked one among the best universities as per NAAC and NIRF and all other accreditation agencies, and we have given a lot of impetus in providing quality education, and that is the testimony of our students being placed in various reputed organizations. School of Sciences houses programs in life sciences, physical sciences, data science, forensic science, and psychology. The Department of Data Science offers programs in the PhD in Data Science, PG programs in Data Science, and BSc in Data Science. I'm proud to say that the first batch of PG Data Science graduated this year, and most of the students were placed with the highest package being 18 lakhs per annum. So that itself is testimony of how we are offering the curriculum and the various ways in which we are keeping the students abreast with the latest trends. And my students, today this podium will serve you a lot, provide you with a lot of information. So you should make the best use of it by asking questions, go beyond and see that what exactly is the areas available in the data science, and you have all the leading professionals over here to serve the question in you. And I'm very sure that this podium will really help you to go better into it, to serve, to inspire and get inspired. That is what this roundtable conference is going to provide you. I'm really thankful to all the esteemed panelists who could take a day off for us and to provide us with all the insights and the experience which they are having, and that is itself a testimony of the commitment which they have for the student community and for the society. And I'm also thankful to our Chief Academic Officer who is there with us and who is a great motivator and inspirer and who brings in all the new initiatives, as well as to Ms. Priti Bhandari and her team for organizing such a conference for the benefit of the students. I thank you one and all, and I very wish that this will be a great opportunity to learn. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for a wonderful welcome. I would now like to introduce Dr. Shraddha Kanwar, our Chief Academic Officer at JAIN University. Madam is an innovative academic professional with over 30 years of experience creating strategic vision and business model innovation to help students and institutions achieve academic excellence. Ma'am, I request you to make the introductory remarks.
Thank you, Aishwarya. Dr. Asha Raji, Dr. Aarti, Ms. Preeti, our academic faculty members and members from our industry interaction team, our distinguished industry leaders, namaskar, and a very warm welcome to all of you, and especially our dear students who are here to get, I think, hugely enriched with the presence of this amazing panel that is in front of you. I was telling Asha ma'am that we have events, and then we have mega events, and then we have blockbuster events, and this actually seems like one of those. Just to set the context, I think unprecedented changes are happening around us, and these changes are providing us with unparalleled opportunities. And when we talk about the field of data science, and this particular panel is about the frontiers of data science, I think we are exceptionally fortunate to have with us stellar leaders from across different industry sectors and verticals who are going to contribute towards the understanding of how data is impacting our lives today and how data is going to be impacting our lives in the future. When we talk about the university's vision, and Dr. Asha mentioned about specific to data science, I think we've been renowned for pioneering new initiatives and setting great benchmarks. And all these benchmarks are what lead us to also have more aspirations and take initiatives which are more future-driven. And therefore, the role of data becomes so instrumental and so critical in forming that relationship. Now, this particular event is, it's a fantastically designed event because we're going to take insights from each individual and try and capture that and use it for our information. For the students who are attending this event, my request is to understand data in totality. You have a lot of aspects of big data analytics and data augmentation, and you'll hear words like forecasting of data and predictive analytics, and somewhere things like data ethics and privacy. But everything we do around data is ordained around what you can do from data. And I think that's the most important takeaway that you should have from this entire event. When we talk about a world which is called Bani world, and you'll hear about all those terms as well, and you'll hear about how the velocity, the veracity, the volume, the value, everything about data which impacts decision making and informed decision making. You have to look at giving data that soul that comes from applying it. So learning is in continuity of extracting the best from the richest of resources around you, but also in applying it and making it more meaningful and more relevant. As you embark into a new world of work, the new world of work is going to be defined by a new algorithm. We don't even know what's going to happen after 3 years or 2 years, because huge changes are already kind of creating some complexities around us. But as we know that in this world, one aspect of the understanding of how different data patterns, whether it is through AI and ML or the analytics that comes from more deeper meaning that is given to data, has its relevance in every field. So whether you're from finance, whether you're from the health industry, whether you're from education, whether you are even wanting to start up your own entrepreneurial venture in agriculture, this implication of data is so pervasive that it's going to only make you much more relevant and much more value creating in the future. So this is the whole purpose of having these discussions on the frontiers of data science. And I would also like to take this opportunity to inform our wonderful industry leaders that at the university we have a very conscious effort of integrating industry in every bit of our framework. So from designing the robust curriculum which is future-driven and industry-led, to having industry involvement in the pedagogical constructs, so we have a very immersive approach where we invite industry leaders and they participate in the classrooms as well as experiential learning sessions, to working on projects. Many of our students are working on projects. I think most of the projects are real-world projects. But many projects are also global and in real time. They're live projects which the industry provides. And the internships. So with the national education policy, the whole internship framework is now that the students get an opportunity to contribute from year one. And we're looking at collaborating with industry partners where our students can start contributing towards the economy and the talent capacity building of industries at a very young stage, so that during their second year and the third year, they become assets to those industries and organizations. And we've modeled these frameworks around making sure that the industry gets the best. So it's a very beautiful opportunity for co-creating and collaborating on various initiatives where the role of industry and academia, which is going to be the defining factor of what we do is going to become even more important. So a very warm welcome to our university of the future and for the future, and wishing you a great session, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your motivating words. Now, it's always been a pleasure to introduce the moderator of today's Data Science Roundtable Conclave, Dr. Chetan, Assistant Professor in Physics. He's a wonderful teacher and orator who has dedicated his life to teaching and research. Sir, I request you to take over the stage.
Well, a wonderful morning to all of you. Dear students, are you all ready for this? Can I have a louder approach? Well, once again, good morning to all of you, Honorable Chief Academic Officer, respected Director, and all the people at the helm of affairs of our university. Well, data in the past decade, or before 10 years, if you had heard this term, if you ask the statisticians, they would say that is the food for us. If we ask the researchers, they would tell we would do nothing without the data. But as on today in the 21st century when we speak, data is not just a word, it is the world. Data sciences has brought huge transformations to the global scenario. Not taking much time in introducing, dear students, our JAIN deemed to be university has been in the forefront in adopting all the novelties the globe is witnessing. Hence, we are here to listen to the transformations that are happening in the data sciences field. So, a great welcome to all of you for the roundtable titled as Data Sciences Frontiers, Exploring Advances, Challenges, and Practical Applications. A huge round of applause for all the panelists who have come here a long way to give their insights for this roundtable. Of course, this panel is not huge in size, it is also humongous in terms of experience and expertise. We have the leaders from all the leading data science companies and establishments. They are the people who are at the helm of affairs in their organizations. So it would be the best to listen to their expertise and experience. So let me take the pleasure of hearing to their introductions. So I request all the panelists to introduce yourselves to the audience, a brief introduction so that we can start with the discussion. So,
hi everyone, good morning. My name is Rakesh Tiwari and I have been in industry for almost 2 decades. I spent 15 years in BFSI data science world and last 5 years I'm in education sector. I work with Great Learning. So that's a brief introduction from my side.
Good morning all. I probably among in this panel I've got the least experience in data science, like 2 months. So I am an Indian Navy veteran. I did an MBA from ISB and then I've been in Honeywell. Data science has been my passion, analyzing data and all that. So I come more from a perspective about data science than pure experience in data science. Currently I lead the data science department in the commercial analytics in Honeywell. Thank you. Ravi Shankar.
Hi, my name is Venkat. I work with Goto Financial. I've been there for the last 6 years almost. Prior to that with ThoughtWorks Technologies. And I come from a physics background and moved into data science after my PhD in physics.
Morning all. My name is Raghvendra. Been with the industry, I would say, for the last 20 years. Predominantly from the banking side. In my current role, I oversee all the branches and ATMs for JP Morgan globally. That's what I do.
Hi. Hi everyone. I'm Ayush. I'm a senior data scientist working at PlanView. So my background is in mathematics and I have, I think, around 5 years of experience now in data science.
Good morning everyone. My name is Vidyadhar Joshi. I work for Schneider Electric. I completed my post-graduation way back in 2002 and then started working into the data engineering piece of it. And then last 20 years I am into this data engineering plus data analytics. And then, okay, I work for Schneider Electric as a director for CSNQ, Customer Satisfaction and Quality. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Suresh. Good to be here. I work for Tiger Analytics. I'm a client partner and director there. So I have about 18 years of experience. My primary experience was in strategy consulting before, everybody started saying data is the new oil, and I shifted to data science about 6 years back. So I had a stint in Mu Sigma, and then I joined Tiger about 3 years back. So handling multiple accounts from a role of a client partner. Happy to be here.
Good morning to all of you. Myself is Dr. Santosh Nanda. I have completed my PhD in AI and ML from NIT Rourkela, and I published around 70 plus research articles and patent. I filed 5-6 patents in AI ML. Since from 2004, I am in AI ML field. I have 13 years of industry experience in AI ML and leading data science team in Wipro. And currently, I'm leading 4 accounts there in telecom, retail, banking, insurance, and healthcare. And happy to hear. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dipanjan Deb. I am from Wells Fargo. Presently, I'm leading the model validation team. So essentially, all the models that is developed across the bank has to come to our team for validation. So the role is basically we hack the model and see where the model can go wrong, right? So that's my role. I bring about 23 years of experience, mostly in the data science side.
Hello everyone, very good morning. Smile. Okay, so something traditional is one woman amongst a good set of men. So that's my background. I come from industrial engineering, where you see very few women. Okay, but if you are a hard worker, this is where you can be. Okay, thank you. So I am into data science starting from my engineering days. So I took that as my major. So went on to PhD also in the same space from US. So more than 18 years of experience, typically doing research and application of data science or AI or today's Gen AI to the industry. Thank you.
Hello everyone, morning. I am Nitin Agrawal. I am from Microsoft. Approximately 30 years of experience all into data science. So my passion lies in data science as well as building products which actually uses data science. So right now we are building copilots for internal users and sellers in Microsoft.
Good morning everyone. I'm Hari. I have 22 years of experience. I'm currently working with Z Entertainment. Previous to that, I was with Airbus with a long stint of 15 years. With respect to data science, I will not say that data science at that point of time when I did my graduation. It was more on neural networks. I was more passionate on the neural networks part of it. Imagine 20 years back in 2000, doing a programming on neural networks with C++. There was no Python. And with a floppy disk of 1.4 MB. And I was constrained to have this within that. And we did this for optimization. Since then, my journey started. And I had a break because there was no continuity of the neural networks in the industry. And then I started into data analytics with Airbus. And now I got the full opportunity of working on Gen AI with the media industry. So looking forward for another long journey. Thank you.
Hello, hope I'm audible. Pranav here. I work with Capgemini. I lead the customer first charter at Capgemini globally, senior director and chief architect there. And in my practice, we focus around digital data and AI. So I work at the cusp of making digital data and AI work together. So everything around conversational AI, Gen AI, be it around customer experience, chatbot, agentic frameworks, all of those. Me and my team are working on MS in data science, almost 2 decades of experience in the industry. Look forward to exchanging thoughts.
Hi. Yeah. Hi, this is Jyotushka Biswas. I am in HP. I lead the AI and analytics for HP's global treasury. Overall, it's been 18 years. I am in AI data science. Did my master's in econometrics in 2006. Yeah, I do have a few national awards. I have presented a few papers in national and international conferences. Also part of Forbes Technology Council. Yeah, so that's a bit about me. Happy to be here.
Awesome. Hi everyone, this is Abhishek Kumar, Senior Director, Data Science and AI for Publicis Sapient. Been working on the field of data and AI last 17 plus years. I also have a passion for teaching, hence it was great to see a lot of students here. So I am instructor at University of California, Berkeley at Haas Business School, primarily for executive education on AI strategy. So looking forward to be here.
Can we have a big round of applause for all our panelists? Well, while listening to their introductions, I thought there are vintage models, there are modern models too. And also the people are from the diverse background who have switched over to data sciences and working a lot in that field. Well, dear participants and the audience, few instructions to be given at the early stage is that in order to make the discussion interesting, the data sciences department has rolled out a Google form to all of you, all the students. We are breaking the discussion into 6 trends. I'll be going one trend after the other. When each trend starts, a Google form will be sent to your respective WhatsApp groups. If you have any queries based on the inputs given by the panelists, please pose your questions in the Google form. Our department faculty members will compile it and give it to my notice so that I can pose the questions to the panelists here. One need not wait till the end of the discussion to pose your questions. You can do it then and there itself. With that, dear students, let me start with the first discussion, the trend one. Who wouldn't have heard the term AI, artificial intelligence? Even a human being who is naturally stupid would have heard about artificial intelligence. So AI has been in the forefront in the past decade. It has got a lot of applications in the real life too. The AI has the ability that uses the machines to perform tasks that typically require human intelligence. This has seen rapid advancements from natural language processing to computer vision to a lot of autonomous systems, etc. Machine learning, which is a subset of AI, is focused on algorithm. Dr. Shraddha ma'am was speaking about the algorithms that improve automatically through experience and data. So the first trend for our discussion will be on AI and machine learning advancements. I would like to ask Mr. Rakesh Tiwari to let all our audience know about the evolvement of AI and ML in the past decade. How have AI and ML evolved in the past decade? Your answer, sir.
Thank you. So I completed my master's in 2004 in statistics, and then I started with Accenture Consulting, right? My first project in 2005 was building market mix models for CPG industry. From then till today, when we are using ChatGPT and we are building transformer models, like it has been a long journey, right? And the two things that have played a major role is, first, computing powers. After 2010, we got huge computing power. That's helped us because companies are smart. Companies exist for making money, making profit for a stakeholder. That's why companies exist, right? They just needed to know how to solve problems and make more revenue. And that's what's happening in the industry. Better computing power, more data. When you have computing power, what you need? Data. Both these things together, you solve a problem. And that helps top line and bottom line, right? That's what I have seen so far in my journey. First, 2005, first model building. Till today, I would say ML has been democratized. Machine learning, where we use mostly tabular data. Now we are moving through text, voice, and other data types, and we have really good models, transformer models. So this is a nutshell what I have seen so far in 2 decades, how AI and machine learning has evolved. And these are the 2 factors that are behind this evolution, I would say.
Thank you for your input, sir. I would now ask Mr. Ravi Shankar to provide a case study showcasing a successful implementation of AI and ML in your organization.
So one of the projects that we have successfully deployed, and feel free to ask questions on that, is a forecasting model for revenue. So how we do that is, firstly, why is it needed? Forecasting model or forecasting revenue is very important for our investors, because they would like to know what's the revenue that Honeywell would make and accordingly make right investment decisions. So first we use a time series model, not one, we use like 5 separate time series models. So time series models are good for capturing the linearity of the data. When I say linearity, it is seasonality and trend, right? So time series is very good for that, so we use that. But they don't capture the non-linear part of the data. And what's non-linear? Non-linear is when certain changes happen. For example, you have good opportunities that suddenly come up in a particular month from your pipeline, or you have created a lot of innovation. So time series, by essence, it assumes that what was in the past will sort of continue in the future. But some of these non-linear elements, you have to model them separately. So we combine the time series models with separate regression models, and we deploy it into production. So how it works is we have the source systems where the actual data is captured, like SAP, the ERP systems. From there, the data goes into our data warehouse. From the data warehouse, we use our Databricks platform to pull the data, run our machine learning models, and then we've got all these models are sort of running together. Automatically, they choose the best performance based on the forecast horizon. And the output of the models are again put back into our data warehouse for consumption by dashboards and other users. So that's one example that I could give. The other one that we are working on is on pricing. That's something exciting and that's coming up. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Now I'd like to ask Mr. Ayush Lal. Mr. Ravi Shankar told about the successful implementation of AI and ML in his organization. Firstly, before that, our students might be interested. How old are you?
I'm 26.
Okay, fine. So, successful implementation we have heard. What would be the challenges that you might have faced during the integration of AI and ML?
I think the biggest challenge that we have faced is integrating data from different products into AI ML pipelines. I think my colleague here mentioned about the data warehousing, the data pipelines. I think the biggest challenge is on deciding on a good data architecture that can fetch data from different sources quickly in real time for your AI ML pipelines. Like, I know like a lot of people talk about like machine learning, AI ML, but people don't realize that that's like the tip of the iceberg. The collecting the data, pre-processing the data, creating data pipelines and data streaming so that you can fetch data quickly for your AI ML workflows, right? That actually becomes one of the biggest challenges. So like one of the biggest things that we're working on is that we have data in legacy systems, on-premises servers. So like fetching data from those different places and making it usable and processed for your AI ML pipelines, I think is maybe like 70–80% of the work.
Yeah, thank you, Ayush. Now I've got a question from the students, one critical, most important question. Darshan Yes has asked this. With the rapid advancements in AI and machine learning, what specific skills and knowledge should students acquire to be job ready and successfully enter the industry? I would request one of the panelists to answer this question. Yes, madam, please.
Okay. So you want to be known as only AI ML engineer, or sometimes scientists are also called engineers, so that way. Developer, or you want to be like a holistic person? Who is Darshan here? Okay, great. Yes, what is your objective, first of all?
I want to be ready, whatever the role comes.
So whatever the role comes, okay. So you have a very generalistic and a flexible view.
Yes.
Okay. So in that case, today knowing only algorithms is not helping at all, because most of them are kind of already ready-made and they are available, whether it is SageMaker or this or that. So things are available. So if you want to be market ready, you need to understand the data engineering part in addition to the algorithms as well. Okay, the inference that comes out of the algorithm should also be known in addition to how you are going to stitch this entire story. So a little bit on the architecture would be a plus, a bonus, but if you know this, then we'll be happy to take you in.
Yeah, thank you, madam, and thank you, Darshan. This question would help most of the students of the data sciences to be job ready and take up the roles. There's another question by Kritika Saha. Ma'am, you were telling about the coding and all. Kritika has asked, due to advancements in technology, we have a lot of tools through which we can get the codes easily. So at present, should we focus much on coding or other fields in data science?
That's exactly what I was trying to communicate. If you know only the algorithms, that does not help. Inference from the algorithm results is the most important. That's one side of it. Second is now everything is more or less a plug and play. Okay, so you can drag and drop and then you can start putting things in place. So typically these days a data engineer is behaving almost like a scientist as well. Okay, so the data scientist roles are kind of taken away and their volume is reducing when compared to that of the data engineers or the big data engineers. They are also called as that, or the architects. Okay, so are the consultants in the field of data. Okay, so pretty much that. So if the question is what should I do? Should I sit and code? If you know more or less, that's good enough. You know how to add. If you know, that's okay. You need not have to sit and add because calculators will do that for you, right? So you need not multiply, but if you know the concept, it will help in interpreting the results. Otherwise, what happens is, if say there are 15 of us here, everyone will give different results for the same data set because we are all different data scientists and we think in a different way and everyone will give different answers. You don't know which one to take. So if you want to be a differentiator or if you want to win the Kaggle competition, then you have to have a unique, not only a thought process, but also how you are going to go beyond only coding. Okay, so the holistic picture will certainly help.
Sir, you wanted to add something?
Yeah,
yes, please.
Yeah, I think it's mostly covered, but what I would like to say, based on I interact with multiple clients, right? So what people are looking at is just not one skill. So if you look at the entire data science value chain, right, from data engineering to data science to reporting to kind of generating business value, I think if you have an element of all the skills put together, I think you are more business ready. Right, it just data scientists would not cut. So data science plus, you have experience in model deployment, you have experience in interpreting the business results. That is more valuable, to companies that would be looking to hire.
So my suggestion to all of you that all are you fresher, right? So you are not the experienced person that you use the tool. Okay, so at the time of interview, I should ask that whether you comfortable coding or not, right? I need to judge your coding skill first. So when you are a fresher, you should give importance to your coding skill first. Okay, how to do the coding. Later you can use the tool, right? Maybe you are agree or disagree with my point, but as a fresher, you need to give more importance on the coding side. Without coding skill round, you're not selected for the second round, right? Got my point. So ready for the interview and prepare for the definition. I can ask the question, what is the difference between logistic regression and multiple linear regression first? I want to understand your understanding in the algorithm first, right? Then I can take you, right, in my team. Then you can learn with us. For us, we are using tool. For not for you, I think so.
Yeah. Just wanted to add one thing, right? So you can learn techniques, algorithms, you can learn coding, you can learn various skills, whatever, and those things will keep changing over the next 10 years. So, I mean, today it might be coding, tomorrow it might be something else, ChatGPT, whatever, right? But something that will stick with you all the time is your ability to think about a problem and come up with a solution, right? So focus on that is what I would say.
Add just another dimension to it. Apart from learning your coding and all those skills are fine, one of the things I've seen in general engineers struggle, or even data engineers or data scientists struggle, is articulating stuff. You might have done a wonderful analysis, but if you aren't able to articulate it well or sell your story well, it's not going to give you any output that you're looking at. So along with coding and other aspects which are foundation, focus on your articulation skills, focus on your storytelling skills. That's one key aspect which I do take a lot of interviews as well. So that's what is missing in a lot of engineers today. So focus on that.
Thank you. I'd just like to add one more thing to what my colleague here said. Of course, like everybody has talked about coding and engineering and, like knowing your ML algorithms properly. All those things are very, very important, but like the one thing I think would kind of take you over the line is understanding the customer requirements. Because one thing that I see in data science is that a lot of people will build very advanced, very deep models without fully understanding what the customer requirements are. So sometimes kind of pulling back, understanding the market fit, understanding what really matters to the customers is very important, and trying to align your your approaches to that is very important. So that is, I think, like that top 99% skill that takes you to the next level data scientist is what I would think.
Yeah, thank you for all the inputs. Yeah. Now, yes.
So I think my panelists already mentioned multiple things, but in front of audience, I'll put 3 parameters. First, technical knowledge. You need to know coding. Okay? We all will agree. Without coding, you can't enter into data science fields. Second, you need to know problem solving. Problem solving is a must. Data science is all about problem solving. And the third is articulation and presentation. These are the 3 parameters. Just focus on these 3.
Thank you, sir. Thank you once again. This is the beauty of having a panel. You'll get multiple perspectives for a same question that is being asked. And our students are very much to knowing about what the industry of today requires. And Dr. Nanda, while you are speaking, I thought our students will come to you asking what are the probable interview questions then, by the way you are giving the answers. Anyway, one last question of this trend I would like to take, because we have an expert from the entertainment. Arman N. Soni has asked, how does data science or AI work in the entertainment or media industry? Without any questions, sir, you are taking the mic. Yeah. Please, sir.
So obviously, I was the one who was from the media industry, so I could understand what the point is. So I think in terms of advancement, media industry is the one which has first took in terms of the advantage of it, because there is a lot of creativity and there's no risk and not much of safety standard that needs to be met. So taking this advantage, I think the media industry is the one which has put the first advancements in terms of Gen AI. And I would say on Gen AI, again, quite a lot of things has been implemented. It's quite advanced, I would say. The other industries you see, they have a lot of restrictions in terms of standards, safety, regulations, and all those things, which we will talk in the coming times as well. Now, I can talk about few of the examples on that front from Z and Sony as well, because I know a little bit in depth on that front. I can talk in deep of Z part of it, but Sony also is looking in that same direction. So there is quite a lot of advancements which went in this side. If you see your subtitles, that is one which is what you're saying currently, from any language to any language. Currently you have from English, you have from French, German, and Korean. So these are the most widely used across the world. But coming to Indian context, we have many languages, and especially 4 South Indian languages, Marathi and Hindi are the ones which are more popular. So the biggest challenge is to convert from our Indian languages to the English, and from any language to any language. So this is one advancement where I would say 80% accuracy has been done. So this is one part of it. And thanks to IIT Madras, which was able to develop a Bharat tool, and this is quite advanced on that front. I think Indian government is doing fantastic job on this front, especially pushing the research on the AI front. Quite a lot of platforms are being developed, and I see this language platform will be developed very soon. You may see a platform wherein you plug in your APIs onto that, and then you get your the various language needs that is there. So this is one part which I can talk. Second, on the music, yes, I don't see in terms of a big advancement, but there is quite a lot of opportunity on this. Just like your large language models which are there, I'm going to foresee that there will be a foundation music models which will be there, which we'll call as FMM, which we'll talk about as well on that front. Especially in terms of, I will see it will go in a step by step with background music, and then with creation of some of the musics that will get into that. And I would say we are at stage 1, where we are trying to create on that front. And the third, I would say, is the gaming industry. It's the most exciting one, and there is a lot of potential on that front. Okay, this is at stage 0. I mean, there are quite a lot of challenges I can talk about on that front. It could be the current gaming industry, it's not personified with the intelligence. I mean, you have only computer which has been with a set of rules. Now, if you add intelligence to that, emotions to that, the gaming will become quite interesting. So that is a quite of advancements that you can look at it. Third is advertising. This is one which I would say quite advanced, which is at stage 3. You are able to generate the advancements quite on that front. I would see these 3 other, I mean, these 4 would be the key major ones, which is at the quite early stages and adapters on that front. I mean, if I'm able to answer on that, maybe if the question, I would like to know who is that person. Did I answer your question?
Arman?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good enough? Thank you.
Now, if given an opportunity, each one segment has to take half a day or 1 day explanation,
yeah, I mean,
you know.
there is quite a lot. I mean, we can meet outside as well if I can talk about a lot on that front.
But you know, but the most difficult task is on me to integrate all your opinions within the time frame provided. So thank you for your response, sir. If there are any questions, the panelists will be available after the panel discussion outside. The students are free to approach them. Let me move on to the next trend. Many times, if we don't have the knowledge, we would be wondered how Amazon, Spotify, Wink are all showing the contents which will align to our interests. Thanks to big data analytics, from the diagnosis to descriptive, from the predictive to prescriptive analysis, big data analytics has been playing a major role in data sciences. Be it the data integration tools to ensure the consistency, reliability, scalability, and other parameters, this is doing a wonderful task. So let us now start the discussions over the trend 2, that is big data analytics. I'll ask Mr. Nitin Agarwal, in your organization, Microsoft, what tools are you using for big data analytics?
Yeah, actually, big data actually had different sides of it. One is the storage part of it, right? So different technologies we can use. It started all with Hadoop and all those kind of technologies. So in Microsoft, we are using Azure Cloud, and across we have different clouds also available. So in almost all the clouds, you will find the technologies which can store a huge data and has a capability to even retrieve the data faster. So those kind of technology we use. So one of the example is Cosmos DB in Azure that we have. It's a NoSQL database. It's a different way of storing the data. Then you have data lakes and all these things where you can store very heavy sizes of the data as well as different types of the data, not just tables and all. You can store images, videos, whatever, right? So that is the storage part of it. Then you have the part where you process it, right? So for processing, mostly we are using the Spark-based technologies. So there, for coding and processing the data, we are using Databricks, Azure machine learning as an environment. So there we have Python as a programming language, but you can use other languages as well wherever you are comfortable. But most of the industry is using Python, so because that will connect to the question that we are saying, right? What you need to prepare about. So concentrate on Python more, but if you are comfortable with other language, that is also okay. Now once we store the data and process the data, now the next part is how to utilize that. For that we have different analytical tools like Power BI is for the front, for the dashboarding part. For building the models and GenAI models, we are using all these AML Studio kind of an environment where you have all the different technologies integrated there. Yeah, so that's about one cloud that I've talked about, but all the different clouds have similar kind of tools also if you want to explore. So I'm not here to just talk about Microsoft, but I am saying Microsoft, this is what we are doing, but you will find the similar kind of tools in the different clouds also, like AWS and GCP also.
Okay, thank you, Nitin. Main question of big data analytics is how accurate, how reliable it is. So I would like to ask Mr. Vidyadhar Joshi, how do you ensure the accuracy and reliability of big data?
Very nice question, apparently. So when we are, okay, before that, when I come from customer satisfaction and quality analytics, so first and foremost important thing for me is the quality of the data, right? So because all the analytics, what we are doing is going to impact the customer satisfaction directly, not even indirectly. So when we are talking about the data, which is impacting my customer, which is impacting my customer satisfaction, quality is the most important aspect of it. And how do we measure with that quality? While during the introduction, ma'am just mentioned about the veracity of the data, right? So what does this mean? This means that the reliability of the data, the trustworthiness of the data, right? So obviously when we are talking about the data quality, there are maybe primarily in our organization, in my team, what we do is we follow 7 dimensions of quality, right? So out of that, maybe you can mention 3 or 4 which is more important. Obviously, each parameter is important, but predominantly the common ones are the data quality, the accuracy of it, the timeliness of it, the correctness of it, and then so these are the couple of things which I can share of, right? So when we are talking about the accuracy of the data, so we need to make sure that the data is accurate, right? Ultimately, when we are bringing data, when we are talking about big data, obviously we are expected to bring multiple data sets from multiple data sources. So that itself talks about the challenges it brings, the data brings with it, right? And then after the quality, it is more of an accuracy of the data. We need to measure the accuracy of the data as well, right? So what happens is typically what we need to do before we really get into the data quality, we need to identify what are the critical components or critical parameters and the critical attributes of the data set. Understand that and make sure that all those critically identified objects, data objects or data attributes, what you call, has the data quality rule attached with it. If you consistently follow this process, then the data quality will definitely be very good, right? Then we are talking about the effectiveness of the data as well. So make sure that whatever data you are using is effectively utilized, not only for the sake of, okay, my model has n number of attributes, may help or may not help. So we need to make sure that the effectiveness of the data what you are using from each and every attribute perspective. And there could be many other aspects as well, but these are the few which I could think of and share as a key aspects of it.
So you could tell that the data will be reliable when it is accurate.
That should
more
be.
Or less. Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Jyotisko Biswas to kindly share an example of how big data analytics has led to a strategic business decision.
Okay. Hi. So there are, to be honest, there have been limited number of similar use cases where strategic decisions have been taken with an AI-based solution. I'll take one example. This is one of the Fortune 100 firms. There was a sentiment analysis which was done for this Fortune 500 firm. So data was taken from different blogs, surveys, articles. There was a lot of web scraping so as to bring in this data. Once this data came in, there were different types of insights which came up. Like the firm was, there was no single point of contact. As in, if I want an integrated solution where I need a software, I want a hardware, I also want consulting for, say, a healthcare industry. The customer didn't know whom to go for. So that was one of the concerns. Another thing is, there was also an interest towards services. There are companies who, so they don't only want the laptop, but they also want, along with the laptop, the services provided to it. It needs to be an end-to-end services kind of a subscription kind of a model. Now, what type of strategic decision was taken? Uh, well, one of the key things which was done was that they started, so the company was based on software, hardware, a cloud vertical, a data science vertical, and so on. They started bringing industry-based verticals. So there was a healthcare vertical. I would not say that this was completely based on data, but the data analysis played a major role along with the gut feel. So when I was there in the meetings, I could understand that they always wanted to have data to ensure whether the decision is right to have a vertical, just as an example. Or there were some decisions which were not taken because the data was not there to support it. This change was new. So someone was talking about market mix models. At some point of time, I also built market mix models. The idea was, at least from my case, and this was 2006, 2007, the idea was that the market mix model should support the business leader's gut feel. That's how we were looking at it. So here the situation was different. It was very data driven. That's what I had.
Yes, sir. Thank you. One request to all the panelists. Our students are more concerned about knowing what they should learn being the students, because the questions that are cropping up are like this. So one question in this trend is that, what key skills should students learn to succeed in big data analytics, and which tools like Apache Spark are essential for beginners? Also, one more question is, how relevant is MongoDB and Tableau for big data analytics? So I'd like to hear from one of the panelists for these questions.
Maybe I can start and
yeah.
others can add. So like I mentioned, you have different parts of big data analytics, right? So try to pick up one technology. So if you are good in one technology, then you can move to the other as well. You can't just stick to, let's say, we are talking about Spark, right? Today there's Spark. After 5 years, there's no Spark. There's something new have come up. But if you're good at Spark, you will be easy to pick up. So when I started my journey in data science, I was more into R programming. And then it was very easy for me to get into Python. But if I didn't work on R, it would be a little harder for me. So pick up the technologies which are growing now and just try to understand in a way how they are utilized and on a conceptual level, maybe not at the syntactic level, focus more that. That can definitely change and take help from Google. So you start learning on the different sides of it. So one is the storage part, try to learn what is there, how we store the data and all. And then the processing part, you can start with Spark. And based on the requirement, there could be different technologies required, like Kafka can be required. There could be some real-time processing might be required. And when we talk about the last stage, where we use the data for doing the analysis and machine learning kind of a thing, then you can use Tableau and different types. So every side you pick up one tool, get like an overall understanding of the skill, and then grow with that. That's what I would suggest.
So you say now there is Spark, next there has to be fire in terms of technology. Okay, anyway, yes, sir, please.
One more thing which I could add to what he just mentioned is try to learn the basics of each and every topic, right? When we are talking about data visualization, learn data visualization techniques, okay? How the data should visualization be happen to, and how it should not also happen is also equally important. We see today a lot of data visualizations which does not lead to the actionable insights. And then data visualization is not limited to any technology or a platform. It can be done using Tableau, Power BI, ThoughtSpot. There are n number of tools available in the market. Even R, Python also helps you to build the data visualization. So you should be technology independent of it. Rather, I would say that you should stick to the basics of it, right? So if you are a mathematician or a statistician, you can use even a simple calculator or pen and paper. Without any technology, you will be achieve your means, right? So that should be our aim rather than sticking to the technology, because I see a lot of today's generation is trying to focus on the technology rather than really developing the basic skills of it. That's what I can say.
It would be like after learning the basics, if they follow the technology, it would be better.
See, today, in my organization, we had one BI platform adopted for last 4 years. Although Schneider being a multinational, we have multiple platforms like Power BI, Tableau, ThoughtSpot, and there are a couple of more platforms we have it. So we adopted one technology for last 4 years in my organization in CSNQ. But apparently after 4 years, we see that there is a need to standardize or change for that. And now we are moving from one technology to another technology. Now just imagine across the organization, I have more than 150,000 users who are using my BI. And now I have to change that platform, shift to the new platform, so that education, forget about education of the users. I also have to make sure that my data visualization experts migrate everything today to the new platform. So we should be platform independent even within the, forget about when you are changing the job, within the organization also, technology can evolve through, right?
So I think this is a message for all the students, how important the fundamentals of anything is. You know, listening from the experts like this would make you understand how important the basics are. Thank you for those inputs. Yes, ma'am, please.
Very short.
Yeah, yeah.
So if I were you, okay, what I would do. See, there are some things, tools which are open source, okay? Some things which are licensed. So expecting the educational institute or any organization to have license of all these tools is not possible. So if I were you, I would go and choose, say for example, they were talking about storage. What are the things, or even if it is visualization, Power BI is open source. Can I get my visualizations up and running on Power BI on one of these things? Okay, how do I see? Does this visualization make sense for me? Just draw one or two, more than enough, because we cannot sit and watch 10 or 20 different amazing colorful plots. We will not do that. Okay, so take one or two meaningful plots, it has to come out. So the best thing to do is get hold of some data, Kaggle or somewhere, and then see how you can start embracing it into one of the simple types of technology. Because when we ask questions, I know sir is pretty keen on asking very interview questions, but but what I would do is, what is it that you're going to draw for me on the visualization? Okay. Now, if you say on this particular tool I have done it, so be it. The point is, you know what are your x, what are your y's, what are the variables you will take and how you will plot. So if you know one tool, more than enough, but know it properly. And that you can do only when you have actually implemented it. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Sir, I have another question to ask you. I think you can answer along with that. Ms. Priyanshu Jain has asked, what can we do in a case where the quantity of the data is limited or less? What is the best approach in this scenario?
Okay.
I think you were speaking about the strategic business decision. So I thought I could ask this question to you.
Can I take that question?
Okay.
Thank you. So gone are the days when, you know, data scientists used to say, for example, maintenance. Okay, this is a crore rupee equipment. If I need to do maintenance, then I need to know when it broke down. These equipments never break down. Do they break down? Did your TV, Sony TV, break down anytime? No. So then where is the data? No data. So without data, we have to analyze. Will data scientists work on this? They will not work. No data, and we are not going to analyze anything. So pretty much the same case was happening when I was working at Bosch. Currently, I'm with Kyndryl. So where our compressors and all these huge equipments, we barely had 1 or 2 data points in a year. Across the globe, if you take all the plants, right? With this, how do we solve? Now, thanks to Gen AI, okay, where most of the things are inbuilt there, you just give 1 or 2 few short prompts to help it understand how things work. What is the pattern? It will try and capture something. It will give you, it might not give you an accurate answer tomorrow, it will break down. But at least it will give you a hint that, you know, in the upcoming week, something is going to happen. So some information or planning is okay to have rather than no information. So that is one way to get started. Then once you start building in, then you can start adding little more intelligence on and on, and you can fine tune your model even with a small amount of data. You need not have, like, neural networks need not have now 1,000 data points. You can start with small ones because one huge one is already sitting there, okay? So that's where I say that, you know, gone are the days when you can start asking for more data. Don't ask for more data. Try to be satisfied with the limited one and give a better answer. Nobody is looking for precision these days. Okay, precision is less required depending on the domain, of course, unlike the healthcare. But if you can give some kind of an indication, it's good enough.
I'll give you
So
a real
what I
life.
can add is, like on the previous point, if I have to prepare myself for an interview, what do we want from people? What do firms want from people? Firms want that they can, and here we are talking about data scientists, AI, ML, whatever acronym we want to use. We want people who can solve business problems through technology, right? So we need to develop those skills. For that, what we can do, we can pick up any, like, you can go for a particular business problem which is there in Kaggle. You will have the data. Now you decide, how you can store the data. So if it's textual data, where you will store it. And of course, given limited resources, you have to see which is open source, or say like GCP provides 30,000 rupees of credit, or where you can get it for free. So you need to understand where you will store it, how you can bring it for the purpose of processing, how will you clean it? You might as well use Python for that matter. How you can build a model, again, it will be Python for that. If you're thinking about large language models, etc., then it's about PyTorch. So and then of course the visualization which people talked about, Power BI comes in. What was my concern at some point of time was, if I have to learn, I used to find my masters to some extent boring, because it was a lot of theory, concepts, etc. Instead of that, if it's a business problem, every point I learn a bit of theory and apply it. Every point I learn a bit of theory and apply it. And that's how I move across tools as well. Let me see what's the data storage. Somebody asked MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB can be one. NoSQL databases are there. So every time I learn at every point.
So I'll give you a real life problem about small data problem in the midst of big data problem, right? So when I think my last organization, we are supposed to sieve through financial reports, right? In the US, what we call the 10K and 10Q, if you are familiar with this, right? These are like hundreds of pages of text with balance sheets and all that stuff, right? Now, what they wanted to do is prospect some customers basis certain disclosures within the 10K, 10Q form, right? So my initial question was, hey, how many such examples have you found so far? So they said about 7, right? So essentially I have 7 label data, so to say, if you're familiar with that term. And then they asked us to generalize that for 125,000 data points. So how do you even build a model with 7 data points, so to say, right? So apparently it looks like a big data problem, because unstructured data, any technologist would say they'll just put it in some kind of a Spark cluster and do some NLP and all that stuff, right? But we took a very different approach. We looked at the problem, what are we after, right? We are after certain disclosures that is in certain pattern, right, so to say. So we actually created a very rudimentary rule-based system, right? And then we applied those rules, right? And then what happened is we built a very poor model, right? The accuracy was about 30–40%. But interestingly, what happened is we uncovered a lot of such cases, right? So 30% accuracy on such a huge corpus is a gold mine, right? So aligning your thoughts, aligning your process with the business outcome would actually help. Right, so I thought I'll just.
So on this point, so there are cases where for a particular use case you do not have data. So then there are multiple situations where we build the data. We bring in the business experts for a particular type of business problem, and you need to get their support as well. There are multiple questions which are asked, either in the form of survey, or there are multiple activities which we are giving, and they would react to those activities, or they will do those activities in a particular way. Now, you people are hearing a lot of large language models, right? Now, when it comes to evaluating a large language model, it's actually about creating a data set. Some of the data sets are already created, which people are aware. But in multiple specific use cases, like if it's contract compliance, I have very limited data. If contracts compliance which is basically whether a contract is compliant or not. I have to create data sets. I have to also create metrics. So it's a lot of creation of data.
See, my suggestion to all of you, I think that is covered in your curriculum, right? So there is 2 types of analysis there. One is qualitative data analysis, and one is quantitative data analysis. So when your data is less, is belonging to qualitative data analysis. Okay, so be good in that side, and then you need to be strong in statistics, because when you generate the data, so if there will be deviation between your original data and your synthetic data, then nowhere you can use the data, right? If there is a deviation, so you should be good in statistics. when you generate the data actually. So be good in that side. And then regarding the big data kind of that, so you should be good in Python first because market demand is high in Python. Second one is PySpark. You should be good in PySpark because you should to read the data. Data availability is there, but you need to read the data. Then you need to go with ML flow, which is a ML ops side. Like when you in Databricks, you need to handle the model and do develop the model, and then the deployment of the model. Then you should be strong in that side. So that's my suggestion to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you all the panelists and the students. Now, big data took a big discussion in terms of time as well. Anyway, thank you for all the inputs given. We'll move on to the next trend, which is a more serious issue, rather. That is the issue of data privacy and ethics. Now, every day we have been hearing to the cases of data breach, data hacking, lot of issues. This is not a problem of today. Right from the days of WikiLeaks, Julian Assange, this problem has been there. So bringing technology in cracking these issues is pivotal as on today. So the trend tree discussion will be on data privacy and ethics. And the first question I would like to ask to Mr. Suresh, how does your organization address the data privacy concerns?
Sure. So I think data privacy is one of the key things, right? So I work for a consulting services firm, so which means that we provide analytics consulting services to multiple Fortune 1000 companies. Now, in this space, right? So since we are providing consulting, we have to ensure data privacy for our clients as well. So what we do, at Tiger or any other consulting services company as well, is to firstly look at what is the business objective and what minimal data we can use, right? So a lot of data that comes in, for example, the financial data or the health-related data comes with records at least in the name of the individual, right? So you can tag to an individual or your addresses, or in India like your Aadhaar and PAN, right? So if those are not required for data analysis, those columns are removed from the data set and then used for analysis. The other significant step is to restrict access. There are opportunities to make clean rooms, and no types of electronic gadgets are involved, inside, so that there is lesser intrusion to data, right? So that is one way that we do. We maintain certain data privacy standards. There is an ISO standard as well. So there is a compliance audit. There is regular audits that happen with respect to data privacy, data breach, etc. One of the key things is to anonymize data. So which means that you basically remove the individual names and just replace it with some anonymous columns as well. So it is completely, it cannot be understandable to the common man, but at the same time it can be used, from an analysis perspective. So those are some of the steps that we do while providing consulting to, say, a banking or pharma, where data privacy is one of the key things. Right.
Just one thing I will add: read the Biden's, the executive order and the EU Act. That will give you the clarity.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. In addition to data privacy, the question of ethics is also important. Most of the times there is a comment, if the crime was not committed itself, then what would have been the question of ethics, etc., etc. But still, if that cannot be avoided, there has to be some set of guidelines, rules and regulations in order to have a check on all these issues. So I would like to ask Mr. Hari Prasad Reddy, what ethical guidelines do you follow when dealing with the data?
Okay, this is one of the tricky one. I mean,
in entertainment especially.
Yeah, being in the media industry, we have the data, we have the complete things, and we are eager to look into the data of the customer. But ethically, this is not the right one. So what we have is a data governance, which has been set up completely. And as in addition to the clean rooms and then segregating the data, all this has been put separately. So what we have developed is a kind of a checklist of ethical rules, which is from the JAIN perspective. This gives us the first set of things when we are actually putting into the use of it. So this gives the first sanctity of checks, which will scan through and say if is it violating any of this. Once this is mostly automated, and then after that, next is the data governance officer would actually verifies it, and then ensures that all the ethical ones, the rules are followed with respect to GDPR compliances, and with EU, and also we cater to some of the North American clients as well. So again, we have to look into the local compliances as well. So catering to the most of the EU compliances and these compliances was very important. On top of that, we have our internal standards of ethics that has been put. With respect to age, gender, religion, and kind of things, you should not do any personal analytics on that front. So this is being quite strictly followed on that front. And then there is a governance organization which is being set up completely, and there are DPO officers who looks into this. And this goes on a regular weekly meetings and then checks we have the key metrics on this front. If there are any violations on that front, we had observed some of the violations as well, and those are strictly dealt with, why it has been done. Especially these violations are coming from the advertising and marketing industry. Because they are the ones, they are under pressure in terms of to increase the revenues, and to get this, they are quite a chances of this leakage. So, but however, this is being taken care from the data governance perspective on that front.
So there has been one question from the students.
Yeah.
Dhanush has asked this. Can you please describe a situation where you faced a challenging decision about the ethical use of the data and how you dealt with it?
Okay. So this is quite interesting one, because this is one I was a data governance officer as well. So for me, many things have come, but I would take one example. The GDPR law has come very recently, and it has come into act very recently. As per this, 3 months guidelines has to be followed in terms of the data. Suppose if you unsubscribe your OTT platform, and within 3 months, your data, none of your data should be exist. So this is part one. And when we actually scanned through, we found some of the people which had a history of 2 years, 3 years as well. But when we look into the law, the law came enforcement in September 2023. So before that, now the question is, I can still retain the data which was before September 2023. Quite a lot of records are there. Now, it's my ethical thing which I should do, whether I should can retain those data and then still contact those customers, or should I delete them? But ethically, it's not right. We deleted all of them. And it was almost like 1,25,000 records.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that input, sir. Many a times there comes a comment that if the organizations are compliant with the laws and regulations, they might not work in a better way. So there is a question from the students as well. Ditto has asked this. I'd like to pose this question in clubbing the question which I have to Mr. Abhishek. As AI becomes more integrated into business processes, entrepreneurs must consider issues like bias, transparency, and privacy. I think they can hear. Yeah. How can they ensure fairness and accountability in AI-driven decisions? This is the question asked by the student. What I wanted to ask is, how do you ensure the balance between utility of the data and privacy of the data?
I'm not sure whether this is working. Okay, cool. So if we talk about the utility, and a lot of examples have already been quoted
already. So I think you started with, hey, we all like Amazon and Netflix and obviously Z as well, right? All of these applications that provide personalized experience. In fact, if you look at a lot of survey reports, they say, hey, like 70% of like consumers, they want every single time they open an application that they understand you and your requirements. So there are the idea is personalization is not an option anymore. It's like organization have to do that. But beyond just personalization as a use case from a utility perspective, There are applications like fraud detection, and how do we fix those, right? So for example, let's say imagine that a lot of cyber challenges happening globally. If the data is not being shared among the different parties, it would be challenging. Research and innovation, especially like during the COVID times where the entire world was trying their hands and to come up with the right solution for it. And there also required data to be shared. But all of that comes at a risk because, as you can imagine, this is all personal identifiable information. And if the regulations are there, and we talked about the GDPR and other regulations, and if it has not been conformed to, there is a heavy legal thing onto you. Also, there is a lack of trust. So we understand there is a value of data. There is a lot of things it can do, but it comes at a lot of risk. So there are a lot of things that we do also as an organization. If you look at the industry, I think some of the things we already talked about, data clean room you mentioned. So obviously we as our sister company, Epsilon, we have like a world's largest data aggregator almost like in the top list. And we also have a clean room implementation also. So the idea of a clean room essentially is that how do you make sure that you are bringing the data which is encrypted enough. So from a skill point of view, you need to definitely learn about some of the encryption technologies if you're looking for that. But then you bring that into that clean room and maybe use, let's say if you're bringing multiple data sources, so something like multi-party computation, MPCs, we use a lot of those protocols. And then doing anonymization, pseudonymization, and then we connect with advertisers because that's where you see the ads on your applications. So that is one thing that we do. Differential privacy is one of the big area where we try to maintain that. Essentially, the idea is that how do you add a noise to your data signal so that you cannot look for an individual, but you can still extract insights. And if you are reading about it, because it provides the mathematical guarantees and whatnot. And now when we are talking about the consent, so for example, if you go to any website, you provide a consent, but these consents can also change. So for example, nowadays, you say, hey, today I want to open for, let's say, analytics, but tomorrow I don't want to take back that consent. So we are trying to also build a lot of mechanism, which is a programmatic way to handle these changes in consent so that I can go back and delete the corresponding records in my clean room. So these are subsystem techniques we are applying. But if I look into some of the other topics, I think you mentioned about the bias and fairness. I guess the way I would recommend is ensuring that you have these checks and balances at every stage of your process, right from when you're collecting the data just to ensure that it represents your minority samples and categories. When you're training the model, you are checking for biases, and there are a lot of algorithms and techniques which are available that can help you to do that. As you deploy the model, just you want to ensure that the model that you have deployed is for the right representation. The feedback that you are collecting, you need to ensure there is a appropriate coverage of all of the different minority and majority categories. So yeah, there's just few ways I'm sure we can talk more on these topics.
Yeah, thank you, Abhishek. There comes a question from Anaga P, like a point blank range question. How can we analyze confidential data with limited insights when banks and financial companies
Same thing. And now, like, for example, everybody is talking about Gen AI, it's so cool. But then as you're dealing with some of these highly regulated industries, yes, you can do anonymization, pseudonymization, all of those things comes. But then as you think about, hey, can I train the model using these anonymized data, then it adds a lot of complexity. So we are looking into a lot of research around how do you even fine tune your models, even though you have anonymized or pseudonymized data. So yeah, it's a very active research, and would love to discuss more on those fronts. But anybody else, I know we have a lot of folks from FS industries as well, if they want to add.
Probably let me add, coming from a financial background, right? So this is where a case of data utility versus data privacy comes in, right? So you would end up having a lot of data out there. It also has to have different parameters along with it, like who's the data being intended for usage, Like who is using it, for what purpose are they using it? Utility, yes, data is democratized and all those stuff, I agree. But limited usage, like someone pointed out on anonymization, that's critical. And how are you going to infer based on whatever data that you are analyzing, what's the outcome of it? All these aspects come in handy. So if you come to any financial institution, not everyone will have access to the data. Point zero, that's it. So it's all limited usage for what you're going to use it, how you're going to use it, because there's a lot of regulations that the financial institutions has to go through. That's one of the reasons it's a touchy subject, if you ask me.
Just, I also work in a finance company, right, fintech. So there is this idea that we have of PII information, right, which is personally identifiable information, right? So the use of that kind of information is limited. You cannot like take somebody's phone number and do a marketing call, right? That's not allowed, right? But the use of such information might be warranted in certain use cases, like detecting fraud, for example, right? And identity fraud is a big thing, and without knowing the identity of a person, you cannot detect fraud, right? So there are limited use cases. So the question is not like, it's not like, I mean, data is anonymized everywhere. No, there are certain like legally warranted use cases where non-anonymized data is available for actually doing modeling and figuring out stuff.
Thank you. Thank you for all the inputs, and thanks for the questions from the students as well. Let me move ahead to the next trend. This is being seen as an advancement and threat at the same time, that is automation and augmented analytics. The impact of automation has a kind of brought revolution to the data analytics with the use of algorithms and machine learnings to automate repetitive tasks such as data cleaning, preparation, and even some aspects of data modeling and interpretation. This has not only accelerated the process, but also has reduced human error and also added some sort of accuracy to the outputs that have been obtained. So the discussion on trend 4, automation and augmented analytics. The first question I'd like to ask Dr. Sheila, what are the key benefits of automation in data analytics?
Sir, part of it you already mentioned, sir.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you know, it would be better to listen from you.
Certainly. So, you know, maybe 10, 15 years back when we started doing plain visualizations or just very simple forecasting of sales or things like that, we used to ask a customer at least 4 weeks time after they share the data. So we have to see the data, understand the data, clean the data, then put some model. It will take some 10 different errors. Then the person, so typically we give all these forecasting things to a fresher, whoever joins, because this is no big deal, right? So when they come, so they come to us with the results directly. So it is up to me to go ahead and understand what that R programming result was looking like. So it is your headache, go figure that out, and then tell me whether this is what I have to give you back on the slide, okay? So it used to take 4 weeks just to give the forecasting result. Today, it takes hardly 1 or 2 days. Why is that so? And today, again, we are not giving this magical thing to very senior data scientist or anything. Even the fresher is doing it. Difference is not that he knows what is the answer, how to interpret. Even today, I don't think most of them know this. Okay, but the difference is what are all the data processing, pre-processing things that has to happen. All these are quantitative variables, yes or no. All this is automatically figured out. It will do whether outliers have to be removed, how many percentage of outliers are there, does it matter. Then it will also say, for example, we just go with some regression, for example. Okay, it will find out the R square value, and looking at that number, also the inference is there. Okay, it's a very good fit model, so go ahead with the next step of analysis, or this is the result. So the result and interpretation of that is also automated. So what happens, you have to just take the data, upload it, press a button, and then all of it is done more or less for you. Okay, and the intermediate report is also generated. With this, sir, I know is very keen on having you work on the code. It is good to know how to code this, but it is also good to know what is expected out of each and every step that comes out. Okay, at least in the report now, even if you're not a data scientist, even if you come from a civil engineering background, or if you come from a mechanical engineer or chemical engineering background, you should be in a position to know what it is trying to communicate in the business language, okay? That's the bare minimal thing. And automation has made an amazing difference, of course, in the speed. And second thing is expecting a lot of things. Say, for example, before, if I am on travel, then the person will come to me only after a week and say, okay, this is the result, so what do you think I should do next? Now that does not happen. In the next second day, it goes to the customer saying, this is the expectation that you can have, or this is the deliverable that you can expect from us, right? So that's the wonderful aspect.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. I would like to ask Mr. Deepanjan, please describe a successful implementation of augmented analytics in your organization.
Okay, so there's this project called bid tape optimization that we are working on. Basically, what happens is, we originate loans from third-party vendors, right? Maybe for Indian context, let's say Policy Bazaar, right? If you go to Policy Bazaar, Policy Bazaar can actually sell the loans, right? There are certain third-party vendors in the US, right? So they can actually sell the loans. And what they do is they then ask for bidding for different financial institutions like JP Morgan and us, right? So we are supposed to bid for those loans, and whoever makes the highest bid for that particular loan will actually get to service that loan, right? Now this process was pretty manual in nature, right? So we used to get this something called a bid tape. Tape means a lot of collection of these bids. And the analyst would go through all those bids and then, find out that, hey, let's bid for this particular loan, and this is the bid amount, right? Now, what is to happen is the bid that we used to make was not very optimized, right? So then we looked at solving this problem, or we talk about human in the loop, but I like to say that it's the AI in the loop, right? Say AI in the human loop. So we actually implemented some machine learning algorithms to kind of augment that process. And then, obviously when you train a machine learning model, it would give you certain bit of accuracy and all that stuff. So our idea is, how can we bid a little less for the ones that we are winning handsomely, right? And then the ones which are losing, can we increase it a little bit so that we can win? So that we cover both the ends. So machine learning algorithms such as this actually helped us to optimize our kind of bidding process, right? So that increased our revenue quite significantly.
There was a question from the student. Ditto has asked this. Many startups have limited resources. What strategies can entrepreneurs adopt to access AI tools, frameworks, and expertise without breaking the bank? I think you partially answered this question. If there are other things to be added, please go ahead, sir.
So what is the question?
Many startups have limited resources. What strategies can entrepreneurs adopt to access AI tools, frameworks, and expertise without breaking the bank?
Well, I think they can actually work with us, right? There are so many third-party vendors that work with us. And then, it's probably not the right thing to say that, hey, we are going to give you some, data scientists who are going to work with you, right? That's not a staff augmentation model that we're after. But if some third-party vendors can bring in some expertise for us, right, from outside. For example, let's say fraud detection is one very interesting area, right? And we have access to our own customers' data, right? And we run our fraud algorithms, but ideal thing would be, let's say this customer is not just a customer for our bank, for all the banks, right? So there are companies like, I don't know, MasterCards and all that stuff. They actually have a consortium data, right? So they can provide that kind of intelligence to us. So I think when startups are created, if they can, in a way, provide this type of edge to the bank, and it's kind of really a win-win proposition, in my opinion.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Now I would like to ask Mr. Raghav, how do you foresee automation changing the future of data analytics?
Okay, I guess most of the points were already covered. In terms of, we have been seeing automation coming into the data analytics ecosystem slowly, but in a lot stronger way. And one of the primary reasons to bring in automation is two purposes. Either you try to improve efficiency, or also you try to get in more accuracy into the system, because every time you have any kind of a human in the loop, right? Because from the stage of sourcing till the way it is intended for the right destination, there are a lot of
I would say, gaps wherein things could go wrong, either from a sourcing standpoint or from a transformation standpoint or from an end consumption standpoint itself. We have a lot of automations already being built in across the board. You have MLOps, which is strongly giving us capabilities so that you have the right data of the right quality being built in into the right engines, so that it eventually helps us with the outcome that's being expected as well. And with most of the jobs predominantly right now, gone are the days wherein you might have had 100+ data and analytics teams. Right now it's a very niche kind of a team wherein you might have like 5 or 10 Sachin Tendulkars and Dhonis who are specialized data professionals who manage the ecosystem end to end. Earlier there were roles of a data engineer, data analyst versus a data scientist. I've seen that boundaries getting diminished because automation has come in so much that you might not need those separate roles itself. So you might end up having one specialized data expert or professional who handles all these things, and his primary job would more be of a monitoring rather than building things, because for building also you have a lot of automations already that has come in. So in the long run, data professional needs are going to increase, but very specialized data professionals, not the generic ones.
On the topic of automation, I'd like to add, going back to what Mr. Raghav had earlier talked about storytelling. So I'll just sort of combine both. So suppose someone comes to you and says, okay, there is a manual work that takes 3 hours, and now I'm going to automate it and it's going to take 1 hour. So how do you articulate that benefit of that to any stakeholder? So the conventional way would be, okay, you know, 3 hours takes whatever, $100 or something, and 1 hour will take $30. So the savings is $70. That's not good storytelling. Think about the benefits in terms of how automation can drive changes, the speed of changes, right? So if something takes 3 hours to work and something takes 1 hour, you can make 3 times the amount of changes in those 3 hours, right? So automation actually drives innovation also. And no analytics is ever perfect. There's no solution that's perfect. You have to continuously keep improving your models with new information. So automation will help you to make those changes so quickly and think about it and articulate it in that way, I would say.
In the future, there will be scope for moderator or not, if there is an automation happening. Yeah, yeah. Yes, sir.
No, actually there is one big thing is associated to automation is called as uncertainty. Okay, so for example, I believe all of you are using washing machine, right? Can you go there and cross-check what written in back end of the washing machine? It's called as fuzzy logic based washing machine, okay? So all our data, without data, how the machine is do the automation. So it is like the concept is like, suppose someone is, we're talking about the tall. If I cross-check and if it defines 6 foot height is the tallest person. What about the 5 foot 10 inch? Is not a tall, right? So tall means, when you close to the data, close to the value, it's called as how much value closeness to that, that one. So that is very important in automation to how to handle the uncertainty.
So thank you for all the responses and also the questions. Let me move on to the next trend, that is about real-time data processing. Real-time analytics has become increasingly crucial in today's business environment, where timely insights can make significant difference in decision-making and operational efficiency. Unlike the traditional analytics that rely on historical data, real-time analytics processes and analyzes data as it is generated, providing immediate insights and responses to the changing conditions. So, dear students, the next trend discussion is on real-time data processing. And the first question to you, Dr. Nanda, how critical is real-time data processing for the organizations and particularly your organization?
See, actually, here all of my project is on offline data, but I already deal with real-time data in my previous organizations. So we need to understand what is the meaning of real-time. So for me, if data comes from a sensor, is called as real-time, or else I'm not considering that as real-time. It's offline to me. So when you are in real-time data, when you are reading the data from a sensor, either is using user data frame protocol, so that time you need to handle the delay. because when you read the data from the sensor, you need to read the data with T1, then T2 in the incremental order of time. So when you read the data, that time T2 sample will be lost. Then when you have T3, then when you have T5, your T4 data is lost. So in real time, it is very difficult to handle that type of things. So for that, you need to go with sampling method. So one sampling method is called as universal sampling method. Okay, so that you need to handle that delay. So if you handle delay, then you can build a model. But in real time, you cannot build a model. You cannot use the inference stage of the model, because if your data mean and max value will be changes, so the model has no use for the real time data. That is the criticality in real time actually.
As Mr. Anda mentioned, the very definition of real time varies across the industry, the kind of use cases which come in. For a CPR kind of an industry, it could be millennials like you who are transacting on Flipkart, Amazon. The expectation would be doing things on the fly. Can we do it in seconds, milliseconds kind of thing? Similarly, if we go to the port kind of places where you need to do some kind of there's a ship which is coming, you need to do unloading, you need to have augmented vehicles, which you need to define the tracks, the routes on the fly. So where you would have some kind of computer vision kind of applications coming in, where you would have instrument, so IoT, edge computing, edge data-based computing that would be required. Then and there you need to understand, define, and take the correct action. So the use cases vary across industry, and the real-time scenario, the definition latencies also vary.
The big challenge then when you are working with satellite data, the data rate is so faster. So then you need to deal with the delay. Okay.
Yes, Mr. Pranav, you kind of dodged me because the next question was directed to you. Before I could ask you, you answered. Anyway, sir, our students would be more interested in knowing about this question. What technologies do you use for real-time analytics?
Sure. So there are plenty of technologies which are available now, and even across the end-to-end life cycle, it would vary. Like right from the time when we talk about, let's say, data collection or data streaming, so there itself it has undergone quite a lot of change. So there are Kafka, PySpark kind of data pipelines which you're using to bring in data, onboard data. Now, I was working with one of the customers in the retail space, and they had 15 plus brands, and they had almost 70 to 80 million customers per brand. And they wanted to do some kind of real-time streaming kind of use cases where somebody comes to my site. They had celebrity brands, so somebody does a post, immediately millions of fashion aficionados will come in, they would transact. So you need to understand all the things on the fly, the customer lifetime value, the kind of interaction history, all of that there. So how do you do that? So it requires not just the data collection, but the end-to-end processing has to take care of that. So yeah, to keep it short, so first, while you're ingesting, the engineering part of it, data engineering, so you bring in some concepts like Kafka, PySpark, those kind of things. When it comes to the processing, AWS, GCP, all of that, develop data flow, Azure Stream events, those kind of things which can come in. You can use some kind of, depending on the kind of data that you're using, it could be ADLS, Gen 2 kind of thing which you'll use, Flow for ML, ops kind of scenarios where you have multiple algorithms competing and you have to do some kind of real-time decisioning and or operationalize it. So it varies across the life cycle.
Yeah, sir, before you do the same question, what techniques and tools do you use for monitoring and debugging real-time data streams?
On your statistical approach, like when you go with the data, how you will, deal with the data. Like when you are in real time means you need to go with your loss, like when you have the signal loss. Like, so I believe like when I develop a project on target, object tracking. So that time we use Kalman filter. So Kalman filter is very efficient algorithm to work on the real time. It's very robust algorithm, but it's difficult to understand at this one stage. So Kalman filter is a well algorithm to finding the position of a object in a real time. So you can go with that type of algorithm and
The most simple thing that we have implemented is, say a sensor, temperature sensor, for example, has to give in the range of 20 to 30 degrees, not more than that, even in the worst of the worst scenarios. But for whatever reason, the sensor is sending some junk numbers. Okay, so then you can put a threshold saying if the numbers go beyond this, then warn that the results that are coming are not incorrect, but the sensor itself is sending you wrong data. So watch out on the sensor and check whether it is sending you the correct set of data. Maybe somebody has gone and poured some hot coffee, just giving an example, right? So then the temperature just went up to 40 degrees or something of that sort. So, or it has caught fire and then it has gone up to 50 degrees. Or the sensor itself is not working and just giving you some junk data. So you can put some kind of a constraints to say what is an acceptable range for a given type of a sensor that it has to flow in. Otherwise, you can start putting your governance or the guardrails there itself to say that, this is not acceptable. Instead of, otherwise you'll have to keep on checking where exactly in the entire flow, where is the issue, which module is the issue. You will not know. Okay, so this is from the beginning phase itself, you can start cutting it out. Thank you.
In addition to this, when you are in, real-time data analytics, you should be good in socket programming. So Sir is telling us C++, you write the neural network code. So that is, socket program means you should be good in embedded system, It is not typical Python coder like that. You should go with Python, C++ extension kind of that. So you need to strong in embedding kind of that if you want to work in real-time data analytics.
Here is a question from one of our faculty member, Dr. Gokul. This is a serious question and would be rather an interesting question. How does real-time data processing impact decision making in the stock market? And what are the key technologies and algorithms used to analyze and react to market changes instantaneously? The next question I wanted to ask was a scenario where the real-time data processing makes a significant impact. I think this answers the question as
you
well.
can search 1, 2, 3 research article we publish in stock market prediction using legendary neural network, and one is polynomial neural network methods, which is very robust and working in real time also. But one thing like if you want to go with very high accuracy based kind of prediction, definitely go with hybrid kind of model like Kalman with ADN. There are three, four types of Kalman filters there. One is Kalman filter, one is standard Kalman filter, one is practical Kalman filter, which is advancement of that one that we teach that subject in MTech in digital signal processing. But you can go with that kind of things. Yeah, you can apply hybrid method to go for good prediction.
Okay. The answer is sufficient, I guess. Thank you for all those responses and questions. We'll move to the last trend of discussion, trend 6, that is on edge computing. Edge computing is transforming data science and analytics by decentralizing computational resources to the edge of the network where data is generated. This approaches reduce latency, optimize bandwidth, and enhance the data security, making it ideal for applications requiring real-time processing and rapid decision making. So we'll open the forum for the discussion on edge computing. Firstly, I would like to ask Mr. Vidyadhar Joshi how edge computing has transformed data sciences.
Okay, thank you. When we are talking about edge computing, one of the key or primary element to look at it is how rapid or how fast we are looking or expecting the result, right? So couple of examples I can quote around that. Say for example, okay, what is the time now? It's 12 o'clock, right? How many of us have Swiggy, Zomato apps installed on our mobiles, right? All of us. And I'm sure that now from now to next 10 minutes or half an hour, 1 hour, you will be getting real-time notifications from these vendors based on your likes, dislikes, based on your previous ordering patterns, and so on and so forth, right? So although we are talking about the technology in large industry, large scale products and all, and big data. But even the small applications are also generating large data today, right? So if you are connecting these dots with respect to the technology and AI ML prediction, what we are looking at it is, say for example, today we have a product which is collecting data from sensors. She just talked about sensors. So we have hundreds of vacuum heat treatment machines, and there are like 20, 30 sensors in each machine. And then if we have to really predict that, what will be the quality of my product, each product which is coming out of processing from that VHT machine, definitely I need to make sure that my prediction is really good, so that I take the action proactively rather than reactive. Like after the product is coming out, then I identify the defect and then remove that defect from the product and then deliver the product. So if I get that the defect alerts real time, then my team will be able to really do the job proactively and make sure that the quality of the product is really delivered good, right? So edge computing, there are a number of examples today which has high value to the business and the product and services what we are selling it to the customers.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Venkat, a question for you. What are the challenges with edge computing?
Yeah, okay. I'll talk about this from a couple of examples that we have worked on edge computing, right? So our use cases primarily have been around KYC and fraud detection, because I come from a financial technology company, right? So couple of things. So you're putting code on the app, right? On the mobile phone or on the device, right? On the client. And the package that somebody needs to download in order to set up your app, that should not really blow up because you put a neural network there. That should be constrained, right? So your code size is something that you need to worry about. The second thing is about memory consumption and CPU consumption, right? You put a neural network on the machine, your app becomes really, really slow. That should not happen. It should be really efficient in that sense. The third is related to latency, right? So how fast can the response be given by the decision-making algorithm on the device, right? If it is going to take time, like imagine that you're trying to take a photo for your KYC, and you click the photo, and it takes 2 minutes for it to say whether, hey, photo is okay or not. You're just going to hang up and go, right? So latency is another thing that you need to really worry about, quick responses, right? So these are three things that come to the top of my head. Hope that answers.
Yes, sir. Thank you. There's a question from, yes, sir, please.
Yeah, one example of challenge in edge computing that we have had in Honeywell is we have got a fire detection sensor. So it's used in refineries and other places, kept outside, and it looks for fire and gives a warning. So typically the problem in such cases is, sunlight affects this whole ability of the sensor to detect fire, because sunlight has got a lot of electromagnetic radiation, right? And typically the sensors work on radiation emitted by the fire. So you take this radiation that's coming out from the fire, you convert, do some signal processing, come out with all its constituents. Now you have a choice to either put some rule-based algorithms to say that, okay, if the signal frequencies are so-and-so, then it's a fire. And if the frequencies are not so-and-so, it's not a fire. Probably not a very reliable way of doing it, because there's no one perfect answer for this. So maybe a neural network or something would work better. But you really can't put something like that right in the fire sensor. And so we are limited because of that.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. There's one question. Yeah.
I would just like to add one more thing or example of edge computing or the real-time data processing is, especially during COVID, right? So we had a lot of norms to be followed in the industry. One of the norm was social distancing during 2020 and 2021. So we developed, obviously the CCTV, with the help of CCTV surveillance, there were a lot of use cases which were developed just to make sure that we capture the people's identity. That's point number one. Point number two, what is the distance between two people on the shop floor, right? So because that was one of the critical norms during that time. And then that data was like real-time process. The moment you come in less than that defined standards, close to the another person, the alert used to go to directly HR teams. And the HR team will really issue the notice or warnings based on number of breaches the person really occurs to, right? And then another example.
There's a question from one of our faculty member, Dr. Pushpa. She has asked how to create the virtual edge computing platform or any platform to access edge computing for research purpose.
So it depends on what.
Actually, the platform is available in Microsoft Azure. I think he's the best person to answer.
You can continue, please.
Go ahead.
Yeah, so a lot of cloud platforms actually provide all these simulations or these kind of things, and there are a lot of tools also available, even open source, which can give you that kind of a simulation. So I've not directly worked upon that, but this is what I've seen in one of the use cases that I worked when I was in the telecom industry. So you can use cloud, and they provide a lot of free credits, I think that was mentioned before, to start with, and then if you're growing, and then they can also provide you more as well, if you mention the research part of it.
Yeah, just want to add, depends on what computation you want to do, right? So if you are working with neural networks, for example, and you want to try out things on the edge, there is this thing called TensorFlow Lite, right? TensorFlow Lite is something that allows you to deploy models on the edge. There are other tools like that, like one of the things that we use in our organization is called NCNN, right? NCNN is by Tencent. So you can look at edge computing neural networks and you'll find the resources on Google.
Mr. Venkat, I have a personal question to ask you. Here we have students who are from the physics background as well. Since in your introduction, you told you basically studied physics and PhD in physics. So what suggestion you would like to give to all our students, whether if they have the interest in pursuing data sciences, how can they connect their subject knowledge to the data sciences? A personal experience of yours.
See, I mean, it sort of ties back to the answer to the first question. Like I pitched in and answered, no? When the first question was asked us around what is the skill that we need, right? It ties down back to that, right? It doesn't matter whether you're from physics, mathematics, biology, doesn't matter, right? There are certain things that are critical about any profession in the world, right? Which is your ability to identify what is the real problem happening there and how to solve it. And how to solve it is where your skills like coding and et cetera, come in. But your ability to identify the problem and formulate the problem. I don't know of a field, maybe there are a couple of them, right, in the world that are as structured in how to go about solving a problem than physics. That's what you primarily learn in physics, right? So use that skill, develop on it, and on the side you can learn various things like coding, technology, this, that, whatever. No, problem solving is the major thing.
Yeah.
I mean, my maths degree was like tailored a lot towards data science. So I did my degree from University of California, Los Angeles. So my major was applied mathematics. So a lot of it was like numerical methods and linear algebra, which leads very nicely into data science. I think I would agree with Mr. Venkat here that it's all about learning problem-solving skills, right?
In which field you are in, that is not more important. Was someone is update here. More important that you have the passion to solve a problem. First one. Second is how much you have skill set to do the coding first, because if you are in industry. Third one is that the research ability, like you have that potential to do research. Without do research, you cannot do sustain in data science ML field because it's changing. I'm giving an example. Long back, I learned NAS equilibrium in my PhD and MTech. So there is a balancing method we are trying to do. So I said that let's apply NAS equilibrium. NAS equilibrium, the beautiful mind, the person John Nasek, okay? So he published only 3 articles. On that 3 articles, he got the Nobel Prize, okay? And he died recently. So the NASA equilibrium right now, recently one publication happening in 2023, and that NASA equilibrium is published in 1972. Now that is implemented in healthcare, in lot of areas. where you can do the best balancing method in, ML. So, it's the, you can think about it, okay?
Yeah, I'd like to add something, right? Which is also related to learning, right? So it doesn't depend on what you're learning really, mathematics or physics or computer science or whatever, right? I think a primary thing that one needs is to figure out how to, you need to learn how to learn, right? Because you need to keep learning. You think that end of your master's, you're done with learning? No, never, right? So I never learned data science before I came to data science, right? So for the next 20 years in your careers, you have to keep learning. So figure out learn how you want to learn, right? And enjoy that process of learning. I mean, if that will really help you.
Yeah, just one point. So I'm not a physics specialist, but I am very physics enthusiast. So a lot of models are coming up these days who are like physics aware models. You can explore that. That would make you more interested toward those kind of models and like those kind of things you can explore. And also like what I feel, that's the beauty about AI field, right? You can apply in every side of it. So there are a lot of companies, products who use physics as a base of the concept to build their products and all. So there you can go and take that data and build the models and make more intelligent those kind of tools. That is what we can do.
See, when I said physics, there are so many responses coming, yeah.
One more update.
One
you
more.
know Dr. S.C. Burma?
Yes.
Huh? So right now, what he's doing right now? You know about his he's already retired from IIT Kanpur. You know what is he doing right now? He giving consultancy to a lot of companies. Okay, so that is the power of physics.
Thank you, sir. Listening to all your inputs, I thought my father used to tell, if once you graduate today and stop learning tomorrow, day after tomorrow you'll become an illiterate. So that's what the message resonated with all your responses. Thank you for all those insights. There were few questions I missed due to the constraint of time. I thought I would like to ask now. Ms. Harshita Shastri had asked, can AI ever achieve the consciousness? And if so, what ethical and philosophical implications would this entail?
No. Answer is no. AI cannot replace human. You cannot make a consciousness with AI. That is the already studied. No. No.
This became like a rapid fire, Please, sir. Please.
See, actually what happened, if you think about my relationship with my son recently affected with dengue. He's got hospitalized in, so that day I can't work. Okay. And always, that what he is doing, what is he eating, that comes in your mind. Human is a kind of a creation. The consciousness in the human brain is to think, to understand what is wrong and bad. It is not that kind of machine. Without empathy, without the emotions, you cannot build anything. Machine, you can build a machine. Now you are talking about Gen I. I'm sharing with my experience. I just writing a research article, and I asked ChatGPT to write something. I'm not happy with the output. As a human, I change, a lot of things. I'm never happy with that output, actually. So it is not happening.
What if you had got a satisfactory output?
No, I'm not happy.
You're still not happy?
Because the way I'm writing, the way I want to explain about one particular flowchart or something like that, model can understand that one.
So let me add what type of research currently is happening in this space. So like he said, yes, currently if we talk a lot about Gen AI nowadays, right? So large language models are basically, they have learned the law well. Right, and it's also connected to the bias which we had talked about. We have various types of biases. If you think about socioeconomic bias, it's basically if someone is poor, how that person will behave as compared to an affluent person. So there are questions like, okay, if a poor mother is seeing her child hungry for 2 days, and if she steals food, and you ask this question to the large language model will say that she should go to jail. So now there is work where we are also trying, and that's why I was talking about data sets. To keep it simple, we are trying to make the large language models socioeconomically aware, more sensitive towards emotions. Consciousness is a big word, but there's a movement in that direction. It's early stages.
There is a good movie, it's called a Chippy, something in available Netflix, you can watch it. So there's a fiction is available, but it's not happening in real time, real life.
Sometime back, I think ChatGPT came 2 years back, right? When ChatGPT first came into being, if you would multiply a 9-digit number by a 9-digit number, it won't result the same number, same results every time. And so human intelligence, and it's we who made it improve. Similarly, another response was around how to fire an employee. Exactly. Get a gun and shoot, right? So it's a system which can't be intelligent more than humans. Human intelligence surpasses the artificial intelligence.
Why I'm trying one more thing I need to explain to you. What is the reinforcement learning human feedback loop? You know, it's RF, HL. Without that, GPT cannot, build. Then you are talking about consciousness. Without human, GPT cannot build. A reinforcement human feedback loop is essential for any kind of GPT architecture, transfer architecture right now. And we are talking about to replace human. No, it's not possible.
I'm feeling like a debate competition where AI is beneficial or not, Yes, ma'am, please.
So I will encourage your topic, sir, for debate. Okay. Looks like whoever asked this question.
No, one student has asked
Yeah,
this question.
who was that?
Harshita Shastri.
Yes, madam. So looks like your question was more from a point of view, if
Yeah, please.
I think the answer is we don't know, right? and the reason for that is we don't know what really consciousness is, right? If you go to neurobiology and look at, hey, have they figured out what is consciousness? It is an open problem in neurobiology, right? The problem is called neural correlates of consciousness. You can look it up. Right?
No,
so we really don't know what is consciousness. So how are you going to say whether AI will become conscious?
I think it's the right time to cut short this because, consciousness becomes another topic of discussion now from philosophical perspective, neurological perspective and all. I'll quickly take the 2 more questions that were asked by the students so that they don't tell me later that you didn't take my questions and all. Short answers I would like to expect from all of you. Another thing is, what are transformers? How is it different from traditional machine learning models? A quick answer, one of you can please.
Okay, I think the most important thing is that these are pre-trained models. So, so practical implication of it is something which we used to do for 6 months when it comes to building a model from scratch. Now, instead of 6 months, you might be able to do it in 2 months. So speed of development is much faster. Deployment is a different story. Deployment is more difficult with large language models, which is transformer being one of them.
So the one very simple way of looking at things is, he did cover, of course, you really needed all your data to develop the model. If you want to go with neural nets, then you should have at least 400 data points or 1000 data points to do this. Now, even if you have 4 or 5 data points to represent what it is, in this case, you can still feed that in and then start expecting results. Okay, so that's one very, very plus thing about this. And you need not be an expert data scientist to do this. If you're a data engineer, then also you can start do this, and give the result of, this is what you can expect and so on. And this is an era where people are not looking for perfection. They are not looking for 100% answer that tell me whether the next hour this mission will fail or the next hour, there is going to be a fraud. They don't want, even if you given 1 week prior information, they will start taking precautions before. If you give just next second it's going to happen, then there is no way people can start acting on it. So thereby, the kind of actions, because you need this information to take actions, and that's where I feel the transformation models are much better, and you're not, banging on saying it has to give results to only this aspect and let it be very, very specific to this. It can be a little robust and it can be a little flexible that way if you go by the transformation. So it's giving a lot of positivity and customer experience, wow stuff going on with that.
Yeah, maybe just to add one more point. So one of the benefit, obviously, transformers, which is coming from the seminal paper from Google, attention is all you need, which is it allowed these models to be trained in parallel. So for example, OpenAI, they have been trying to essentially leverage the entire internet and essentially build these language models, I think at least 2015, even before that. But they were not successful. 2017, the attention, all you need, the paper came, and suddenly they had the power to train the model on this massive data set, and now they pushed Google as well, right? Essentially, if you see, right, they used the paper that was written by Google and then used almost against them, right? And Google lost a lot of their shares when that happened.
See, one thing I want to update you all, like in transformer-based learning and traditional-based learning, it's depend upon the what kind of business problem you are solving actually. In healthcare, you can ask doctor to adopt AI, they're not adopting AI because the response is very late. A doctor cannot wait for that right response. Already I have that much of experience when I develop deep learning based skin digit detection. The doctor said I cannot wait for 1 minute at least. I need detection rate should be less than 1 second. So we cannot build a model to detect skin disease with high resolution based image, 8K based image, 4K image within a less than 1 second, whatever the infrastructure we have right now with advanced infrastructure. So that is happening. So it is failed in healthcare, particularly in that type of detection. But other case like natural language processing, like earlier it is natural language processing, now it is natural language understanding. Okay, in that problem statement, it is doing faster, doing well. Creating a story, creating a music, creating service in media sector. That all are doing well.
I'd like to add one more point. So if we look at like the history of NLP, natural language processing, one of the key tasks has been trying to understand the sentence context, right? Like understand how different words in a sentence are related to each other, which is where attention is all you need is born out of, right? So one of the key things that we see with transformers and large language models like trained on very large amounts of internet data, books, archives like that, is emergent properties. So the idea behind emergent properties is that these LLMs and these transformer-based models are able to solve problems that they haven't been specifically trained for or specifically fine-tuned for using RLHF or any techniques like that. So I guess that is, in my opinion, the most interesting difference between like transform-based model and traditional ML is that transformers don't really need to learn how to solve a use case as such. Like they don't need to see prior examples or be fine-tuned on that. Like for some use cases, they're able to solve them just by prompt engineering, right? Which is why prompt engineering is becoming like a major field nowadays. And like my colleagues mentioned, like fine-tuning or even like giving data, like few-shot prompting only requires like 4 or 5 examples now. So in my opinion, that's the most interesting thing. And it's leading to a lot of AI features being developed very quickly, a lot of AI startups happening in Bangalore itself, which are very quickly coming up and building essentially wrappers around OpenAI endpoints and different LLM endpoints.
Thank you, all of you. Before we conclude the discussion, I would like to hear for the concluding remarks from all of you. In those concluding remarks, I expect, there are a lot of data science students who would like to take up projects, work on a few things. So I would want all of you to include any one real-time problem that they would work on specifically in the areas which you all are working. With that, I would like to pass on the mic for the concluding remarks from all of you.
Sure, thank you. I think, given that all of you are freshers, so my suggestion is pick one general problem. For example, if you look at BFSI or any B2C industry, in marketing you have lead prioritization, where you need to use some machine learning model building, right, to prioritize. If you have 1,000 leads and you want to target only 100, right? How the prioritization will happen? Because that's a use case. It happens with all B2C companies. So start. I think we discussed about it. Like, keep your basics simple, right? Make your foundation first. Learn about data science, learn Python, learn SQL, and some machine learning algorithms before jumping on neural net or GenAI. Like, given that you all are, and I have seen your curriculum also. Before coming for this panel discussion, I looked at MSc DSA curriculum. right? Your curriculum is good. Like whatever is there, if you just work on that and solve few business problems, like pick up data from Kaggle and learn what's happening. It's not about coding. Coding is required, but how to interpret and identify actionable insights, that's where your contribution is going to come up, right? So in terms of one project, definitely, if you talk about B2C industry, prioritization is what I would suggest.
So, many years ago, say 20 years ago, for example, many of you may have been toddlers by then. They were not born, yeah. So it was very difficult to get experience in any company. You had to actually join a company and work there to get that experience. With data science, the good thing is you have all the data available in the internet, like Kaggle said. My recommendation to you all is to go and enroll in such competitions, because that will give you good hands-on. You can compete with others. You can understand the others' algorithms. And I don't know how many of you are actually doing it. It can be intimidating a little, because you think that my number is somewhere down in the rank. Don't worry about it. Just go and do it. Just keep that active. Slowly you'll improve and you'll gain the knowledge.
Yeah, I'm going to sort of interpret your question as what can they do to improve, because one specific problem is like, yeah. So I have a suggestion, right? Everybody here has WhatsApp, right? You know that WhatsApp has an LLM built in. Have you used it? So all the questions that you ask here, right, in this forum, that all the questions that you asked, why don't you try asking that to WhatsApp LLM, right? The Meta AI. I'm sure it will give fantastic answers, right? And the idea is not just to ask these questions, but use those tools that are available, free tools, right? Like WhatsApp LLM or ChatGPT, in order to ask serious questions, not just, hey, build my resume, right? Ask serious questions, like whatever question that comes to your mind, it actually gives really good answers. I've tried it, right? And the answers are not trivial on the surface answers. It goes really deep. And you can keep asking deeper and deeper questions and you'll find your answers, right? So try that.
Probably one piece of advice from my end would be learning is the only constant, if you ask me. If someone rightly pointed out, right, just because you finish your master graduation, it doesn't mean your learning is over. Focus on continuous learning. I'm pretty sure all of us on the stage here are continuously learning on the new things that's coming up and trying to apply it where and when applicable also. And probably from a use case standpoint, I think someone pointed out on a share market, like how do you predict? There's a lot of publicly data available out there. Pick your top 10 or say even Nifty 50 and try to predict over a course of next 6 months or a year, based on various models available, how do you think the share price would go? And keep monitoring it. See if your model works best. You're trying to improve yourself one day at a time and trying to say if whatever you predict is what's happening, based on various criteria, obviously. So that's one public available data apart from Kaggle's and other sources. So keep trying on new initiatives. And someone pointed out about hackathons. There's a lot of hackathons that happen across universities at a global level also. Do participate. Don't think about winning. If you win, well and good. It's all a learning exercise. That's what I would suggest.
Hi. I think everybody has mentioned most of the ideas that I had. Mainly, I would suggest that I think starting with traditional ML and then going towards neural nets, progressing like that. Not just like participate in Kaggle competitions. I would also advise that maybe take a look at like older Kaggle competitions, right? So in that you can actually, like a lot of people will actually publish their answers. So you can maybe take a weekend, complete a Kaggle competition, look at other people's answers and see how to improve and see if you can like reach like the top, like top 15 percentile, things like that. That would be my suggestion, yeah. Another thing I would think is like if you're targeting for a specific domain, right? Like you're targeting for like healthcare, targeting for fintech, targeting for whatever, that is also really good. Like if you do projects in a specific domain, that looks really good at times of interviews, because you can go and say that I am very interested in this domain and I have done these projects in that specific domain. That's what I think. Thanks.
Okay. How many of you have heard about a Venn diagram? Everyone knows, right? Simple thing. So when we are talking about a careers Venn diagram, right? To be a successful data science candidate, I would say, not a leader, but yeah. Uh, what are the three components I would look at it, right? So three components, if someone asks me what I need to be, or what I need to have it, would be, one is the domain knowledge, okay? Whatever the domain you are into, make sure that you are masters at it. Without domain knowledge, you will just become a technical executor of it, okay? So that's first and foremost point. Second, if I wanted to be a successful data science candidate, what I need to also understand is I need to have little bit of programming knowledge, okay? That's the second aspect of it. And third and last but not the least, obviously, in that Venn diagram, is the statistics and maths of it, okay? So if you have these three standard things with you, definitely you can be a really good successful person in your life, whatever you wanted to achieve in this area. That's first thing. Secondly, when it comes to the data, right? Most of us, I'm sure that we would have seen or some forwards on the data, AI and all, right? So the iceberg picture, 80% of your data and 20% is your AI, ML, whatever we talk about, data visualization. What does this mean? How do you translate this picture? Can someone talk about it? Have you seen that iceberg of the data and AI? Everyone has seen that. So how do you translate that? Any guesses? Okay, so we have seen the diagram, picture, okay, of an iceberg, which says that 80% is your data, right? And 20% of the top of the water is all about the AI, ML, data visualization, and all that. So if I have to translate that into my career perspective, how will I translate that? Obviously, that is there, but yeah. So okay, maybe for a simplicity, I'll just continue. If I had to continue that, I will say that the data is a crux of it. Yes, we all agree to that. But making sure that I understand the data is very important in that aspect. Okay? So if I don't understand the data, I will not be able to understand what my customer is asking for, and then I will not be able to convert that data into a solution. Data still remains there. Okay? So that's the 2 points which I can share with you. Thank you.
I think all of the points are mostly covered, but I'll just take a step back and talk from my experience. So I was part of strategy consulting at Frost & Sullivan, KPMG before. So we also used to build forecasting models, but not with a lot of data. Now moving to data science, right? So I was always close to business problems. So that's where when I moved to data science as well, I stayed close to the business. So that's my interest area. So find out your interest area. So a lot of a panel here, right? We are talking about coding skills, etc. Start with basic AI, ML, and then go to neural networks, etc. That's good. But if you want to be contributing to business, which I think all of us here, whether we do data engineering or data science, it's actually to contribute to generating business value for the company that you work for, right? So that's your end motive. So focus, if you want to be an individual contributor or maybe leading a team of data scientists, I think you can go deep into data science. But if you want to build value, I think the aspect of business consulting along with data science becomes very pertinent. So choose what you want to do and then look at the skills that are required to excel in that domain, and then focus on improving and learning every day.
Yeah, so at here I have few points to, it's my suggestion, like all points are covered. First of all, that you should not have overconfident that you have maximum knowledge compared to your faculty members, okay? First thing. Second thing, that you should have a unit with your faculty members. Ask, because they are here as your mentor. Okay, we are the industry expert, every day we are working in our team and like that. So you need to come with a problem statement go through a recent publication. Like for example, sir is telling like the subtitle part in video, na? That is a kind of project you can take a video and do the subtitle in Kannada or in Telugu or Tamil language. Take that project and have a unit with your professor. Take that and go through that, which are recent publications, and then you can start with and you can enhance your knowledge in that side. But never overconfident that you have big knowledge or maximum knowledge compared to your faculty members. Okay, thank you.
I'll just keep it very short. I would say be a geek who can speak.
Okay, so if I were a student at this time, then this is what I would do. I would take a given area, so where I could actually start collecting data. That means I can start putting some seeds into the mud and see what is the rate at which it will grow. So for that, what kind of a data should I collect? Or if it is on the sports side of it, if I every day go at morning 5 to 6 to the gym or play badminton, then how is the heart rate changing? Is it good for this age group, etc.? So basically, if for a given problem statement, or before I define a problem statement, in this process what I'm doing is I'm seeing what data do I collect, at what frequency do I collect, is it meaningful to collect this much data? Then then say after 2 months of data collection, now I have all of this. So what should I analyze? And if I analyze this, how do I make use of this kind of a outcome? Okay, and in order to do all of this, what kind of tool? I use a camera to take a picture of how the plant was growing, okay, what rate it was growing, or did I just take a BP measurement instrument, whether it was quantitative data, or if I just asked my friend to talk and then I collected that kind of a data. So different kinds of data that I collected, can I collate all of this to finally say something else? Okay, so in the process what is happening is I am going from one step to another and knowing the importance or value of anything that I'm doing. Okay, so in business or even in an interview, that's what they're going to ask. If you have done a given project, why did you even start this? What is the deliverable and what is the action that you can take out of this? So in order to do this, you have to manually go through each and every step and process, and in that you will certainly use one or the other technologies to make this happen. So experience is the best thing that you can face and explain it to somebody. So if you're able to explain, even if it is not the perfect answer, but what you went through, did you think through, is most important. So that's what will be expected from any company for that matter, is what I feel. So physically spend some time doing this exercise. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think a lot of things are already mentioned, so I would like to just share how I have chosen the projects that I've done in the initial days of my learning, right? So just keep it very simple. There are two ways that I choose. One is like which area you are interested in. Let's suppose I'm interested in life sciences. So those domains you can take, or you can take up some problem that you're facing every day. So like in the classroom, a lot of people might be blinking or sleeping, right? So that is what I used to do in my college time, right? So if you want to create some kind of a detection of that, right? So you can create that project. So you can just pick up some problem which is more interesting to you, because what happens is data science is very wide. We have talked about like hundreds of technology in last few hours. So you might be very overwhelmed and you might get kind of a give up kind of a situation. So if you are interested in the problem that you are solving, you would be like very, very consistent on solving each side of it, and then focus on what technology can be applied. Don't try to over apply things in each part of what you're doing. So choose the problem that you're interested in. That would be more beneficial for you as well as, and you can continue for a long time.
Okay. My grandmother had a lot of things for me to learn. Okay. I mean, they are the best, and you can always look up to your grandmothers, especially the bedtime stories that she tells. Or it's only the story that she's telling. Okay. But given the point of time what it is, she used to tell different things at different times. So she used to take you through different emotions as well. Okay. So it's the same story, but depending on what time you are there, it could be a bedtime, you need sleep, but if it is something emotions, she would tell something else. And if it is something happy things, she would tell different thing. But it's the same story, but different way. So whatever you do, you have to do it to the deep and depending on the situation. And the situation is your business knowledge. The grandmother that she told you is the emotions is your business problems. And you have to go deeper into that. So this is what my piece of advice. Now, coming to in terms of the points of the applications, okay, there are quite a lot in terms of media, okay. I mean, subtitling is one of it. One thing which I can tell you is you have an episode, and for that episode, you can have a short summary similar to IMDb before you read it, okay. You feed the input of your episode, and can you summarize it? Okay, this is one. Second, once you give the first episode, what could be, how do you guess it for the second episode? What could be how second episode would look like? And check it with the real episode of the second, and how far is it compared to both of them. So this is another one, because these are the things that people are trying. People want to test how the storylines are there, what are the standards, and they would like to have seven set of series that could be, which could be there for the next one. So now the authoring is going to the next level. So this is one kind of thing. Now I also talked about the gaming industry. So in the gaming, don't put the rules, put AI into that. And the opponent will be AI, where you will not have any set of rules. And that gaming makes it more interesting. So these are the things that I will advise. Another thing which I will tell you is, okay, when you are putting the problem, going into it, go deeper into the problem. Okay, like for example, we talked about Power BI in terms of putting the graphs. Just don't end up with graphs. You should know how to tell the story. You should know what it is. If I just represent, say, bar graphs, a set of bar graphs, that's not going to tell me the story. The moment I look at it, the other person should be able to understand what it conveys. Okay, so there are many bar graphs that you will see, but there will be only, you should know how the techniques, the way color codes are used. So go deeper into the subject, deeper and deeper and deeper. So be mad about it, okay? Like Ram Gopalama says, he is mad about Muse, and he just goes deeper and deeper into the subjects. Then you'll become the master. That's what my app said. Be mad.
The purpose of technology for me is to improve the quality of life. So look out for things around you. How can you use the power of data science, AI, ML to improve the normal life, right? There are challenges which we see around us, like a bunch of students, what they did in Africa, there is something called as river blindness. So a lot of people get affected by that. So what they did, they collected the data around that, the possible causes and all that, and then came up with some kind of a view around, like, these are the possible reasons, and how can we go about improving or reducing those such cases. So focus on such kind of examples. It will keep you, I would say, the impact would be far on the human life, and also it will distinct your projects from a lot of other commercial things which other people would be doing. So if you can take such kind of projects, that would be great.
Okay. So my suggestion is from the perspective of getting a data science role, cracking the interview. So two areas where we have to build our skills. One is fundamentals, second is problem solving. Fundamentals from data engineering perspective, machine learning perspective, generative artificial intelligence perspective, and so on. And the other one is problem solving. Now, how to get these two objectives? We talked about Kaggle. Someone else also talked about Kaggle. Ma'am took a very research-oriented method to collect the data. But at the end of the day, take a problem. I mean, be it the way ma'am was saying or someone else was saying, your particular problem, people who are sleeping in the class and so on, or take it from Kaggle and then solve it. Should be a data science problem, a problem which can be solved by data, and then solve it. And when you are solving it, go into the fundamentals of it. Fundamentals of data engineering, fundamentals of machine learning, fundamentals of visualization, the storytelling part, which also people talked about. Through the visualization, you tell a story. So that's the way you do it. And we talk a lot about passion, etc. A lot of people enter data science because it's very high paying. So that's perfectly fine. I mean, money can be your passion. So let that be.
I think a lot of things are covered already. So, in fact, we do hire a lot of campus folks and directly. One of the skills that I particularly look for is whether they have the ability to ask the right question. In fact, during the interview, I say, hey, you can open Google, you can open Stack Overflow, you can open ChatGPT, no matter what you want. Can you ask the right question and to get to the final solution? And that can only happen if you have to develop that muscle. I can tell you it's not easy. It sounds easy, but it's not. So whatever the things which are information which are there at your disposal, for example, your classroom assignments, maybe the capstone projects that you're doing, if you're doing an internship projects, one of the things that maybe just try to probe that, okay, why a certain approach was taken, why it was not taken. Because the question that I typically tend to ask is what worked, but more importantly, what didn't work. And that can only happen once you give enough thought around why something happened and ask the right question. So one skills for me is definitely working on developing that muscle memory around asking the right question.
Well, after a plethora of intelligence, learning, augmentation, everything, now I'll have to do the ethics part of the conference. It's the time to draw a full circle to the round table. On behalf of the institution, audience, and my personal attribute, a big, big gratitude and thanks to all of you. When this roundtable conference was planned and this task was given to me, I was little skeptical. How do I manage 15 people, that too from top-notch companies and all? But you all added the quality and increased the magnanimity of the forum. At times, few of you have donned the role of a teacher, of a student by telling if I were you, of an interviewer, of a philosopher, and many more, and making this discussion very interesting and intriguing one. Now it's the task of all our students to analyze and assimilate the insights that you have given. I would like to thank Mr. Kunal and Dr. Basha of the Data Sciences Department for helping me with the questions from the students. Even though I am not from the Data Sciences Department, I was given this opportunity by Dr. Asha ma'am, Dr. Aarti ma'am, and Ms. Preeti. Thanks for that. And at last, I would like to thank each and everyone for taking part in this roundtable conference very actively, posing questions, learning a lot of things. Now comes the main part, to take the maximum benefit out of what all of them have spoken. With this intention, before ending this conference, I would like to tell, if opportunity gives you one, make it into 1 ton. Thank you, all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. That was indeed a very interactive session. I hope everyone enjoyed and learned something new. Okay, I would like to thank all the panelists for their priceless inputs and guidance. I request our Chief Academic Officer, Dr. Shraddha Kanwar, to give a token of our gratitude to our panelists.
We're just towards the end of this, so my request, just a little bit more. I would like to formally summarize a very beautiful, invigorating session that we've had today. Gentlemen and ladies, when we were listening, the most beautiful feeling I felt during the entire conversation was, of course, everything you have mentioned. Each one of you has been so enriching. That we could capture this in such a short span of time was also very important. I thought our students asked some beautiful questions which can only happen in a university, that we are talking about AI, ML, and data science, but we start talking about human consciousness and infinite intelligence as well. So a huge round of applause to all of you, wonderful students, for this questions and interactions and being such a beautiful audience. our moderator, Dr. Chetan. I think it was a humongous task to bring such beautiful insights in such a coherent, progressive manner, and you captured it so well. I think we should definitely have a huge round of applause for Dr. Chetan. Our esteemed industry leaders, I think, you know what, somebody said we really don't know what's going to happen because we don't know the definition of consciousness, but we also don't know the reality of tomorrow, you know. So on one hand, we're talking about Elon Musk and Neuralink and the implant, and it's a scary thought that your thoughts will be in text, so we can no longer fool people with our body language and our words. So interesting times. But for our students, these are the most wonderful learning times. And if there are three things that the industry is looking for today in our students, it is learnability. I think you've mentioned this, the ability to learn, connecting the dots, and sense making. And I think when Albert Einstein was asked a question that if you have 1 hour to change the world, what you will do, he mentioned, I'll spend 59 minutes in defining the problem and 1 minute in then solving it. So that's how important the problem definition is, the importance of data which needs to be so beautifully mined, captured. Only then your predictive analytics, your forecasting, etc. will happen. And because this was, like we mentioned in the beginning, such a wonderful, power-packed session, we must really thank our wonderful industry leaders once again with a huge, resounding round of applause. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here and making this super special. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your closing remarks. I'll now request Dr. Shraddha, ma'am, to please give a token of her gratitude to our panelists. I also request Dr. Asha Raji, ma'am, our director, to please give token of gratitude to our panelists. R. Ravi Shankar, Director, Data Science, Honeywell. Venkata Ramanan, PR Head Data Science, Gopi. Dipanjan Deb, Wells Fargo. Rakesh Tiwari, Great Learning. Hari Prasad Reddy, Z Entertainment Enterprise Limited. Raghavendra Prasad, JP Morgan. Ayush Lal, Plan View. Ayush Lal, Plan View. Vidyadhar Joshi, Schindler Electric. Suresh Panur, Tiger Analytics. Pranav Kumar, Capgemini. A round of applause for the panelists. Dr. Santosh Kumar Nanda, Wipro. Dr. Sheila Siddappa, Kendrill. Jyotishko Biswas, HP. Nitin Agarwal, Microsoft. Abhishek Kumar, Publicist Sapient. Thank you, panelists, for accepting our gratitude. Now, I request all the participants to kindly collect their certificates in the register, students to collect their certificates at the registration counter, and I request all the panelists and the academicians, professors to please stay back for the academic curriculum discussion. And also participants, students, please, to your right, you have the QR code. Please do not forget to fill in your feedback forms, okay? So please, students, collect your certificates outside at the registration counter, and I request all the panelists to kindly stay back, all the academicians, professors, to kindly stay back for the curriculum discussion. Thank you. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by a spark from another person. Each of us has a cause to think with deep gratitude for those who have lighted the flame within us. As we have reached to the end of this conference, I would like to thank our Chief Academic Officer, Director, all the panelists, participants, teaching and non-teaching staff, FMD, Giri sir, for their valuable contribution in making this conference a grand success. Thank you, one and all. I request all the students to kindly scan the QR code to fill in your feedback forms and collect your certificates from the registration counter. Thank you.